everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. I'm your player one again today, and I'm joined by my brother Matt.
Yo.
Matt, thanks for joining.
Of course.
I was telling Matt I'm fighting off, I think, a cold, so I'm going to try not to cough directly into the microphone during this episode. So if you guys hear me munching on some cough drops, that's all that is. It's just to try and stifle that a little bit. But I'm fine otherwise. It's just a stupid cough I get every year. Anyway, so Matt, we're gonna talk today about. So you've recently finished God of War. I don't remember if we actually talked about that on the podcast yet. I think we were playing Tekken the other night, and I think we were talking about it then.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You actually finished it, so
offline chat during
a Tekken match.
In between Tekken shit talking. So
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that Tekken 8 beta and then the episode following gave us both like Tekken brain rot, so we really wanted to get a few nights of Tekken in.
And we did a pretty long endeavor there, and I think it was like 50-50 by the end.
I tweeted that picture out.
Oh, did you? Okay,
yeah,
nice.
Because it was like, I think it was, I forget what the actual numbers, but let's say it was like 11 and 12 or something, like wins. So yeah, and we were playing for a couple of, probably like 2 hours or something. But it's funny that our and that's why we probably have so much fun playing Tekken again, like with each other, is because they are so back and forth and so even.
It's the parody is perfect. It's literally like any the thing I also find as well that's neat about playing online, especially kind of with you, is I don't know who you're picking.
Yeah.
So I can't kind of base my choice on that.
You can't counterpick me.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So anyway, it levels the playing field even more.
True, yeah, that actually is probably why it gets so close to 50-50, because we're just, we're not gaming it, gaming the character choices or anything. We're just picking who we think we need to, or who we can play well with.
And even there's no like subconscious like, oh, he's picking Asuka. Okay, then Paul it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or vice versa.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the other night, my friend that I play FF14 with, Yura, me and him were playing one night this week, and it was like almost the same thing. Like we played for like probably like 2 hours, and it was like 13 and 11, or like it was like within 1 or 2 wins. I was like, that's why you and him are like the people that I play that the most and enjoy it the most with, is because we have those really like good matches. So, and he has got a slightly different character pool than you, so it's like I get blindsided a little bit by some of his choices. But anyway, we've been playing Tekken. We've got Tekken on the brain.
So we talked a bit about my God of War progress during that session, but
and we're like, oh wait, well, this will be good for the next episode. So we're gonna talk a little bit about God of War. Now, because I did finish it when it came out last year or whatever. It's almost like, I forget what the actual date was. I feel like it was like November 6th or something. It's like just over a year ago that it came out. And so we'll be full spoiler mode for God of War. So if anyone hasn't finished it yet, just be aware of that. I'm going to talk a little bit about Super Mario Wonder, because I did actually finish that last week before my cold kicked in, when I still had non-foggy brain. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Spider-Man 2, because I just finished platinuming that as well. And I'm going to keep that one pretty spoiler light. So Matt hasn't played it yet, so we're not going to go into story stuff or anything, but just some general impressions. Spoiler alert, it's real good.
I was about to say, I've heard nothing or seen nothing but good things. And I loved the first one. And
you actually got me, like, you sort of like reignited the first game for me, because I had, we might have talked about this before, but I feel like I had borrowed it from someone, but didn't. Maybe I didn't. It's like I wouldn't have rented it, because that doesn't happen anymore. So I
Mm.
must have borrowed it from someone, or
And
maybe I
just kind of
bought it on like just on like our version of Craigslist. Which, if I say what it is, literally one other person will know what I'm talking about. It's called Kijiji. Anyway, don't worry
yeah.
about it. I might have like bought it cheap and then like didn't really progress, and then I might have just traded it or something. But
You may have
uh,
like gotten it in between while you're playing another game or
yeah, it
something, or
definitely would
yeah.
have. It probably fell in between some games. And so anyway, and then because did you go through it in the PS5 remaster, or had you just
Mm-mm.
gone through it like not that long ago?
Like I went through that before I got a PS5. So
Okay, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
not when it came out,
No, I'd say
like a
that
little bit
was
before.
um yeah,
Okay,
exactly. Like months before I got a PS5. Yeah.
and I had
Yeah.
gotten a PS5 before you, so by the time I think you were talking about it, Miles Morales had come out, and if you
Yep.
bought the physical or version, it was like called the Day One edition. It gave you the Spider-Man remaster, a PS5
Yes.
remaster. So
Yep. Yep.
when I got my PS5, I bought the Demon Souls remake, Miles Morales, which came with Spider-Man remastered.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was like my sort of my first week of having that console, being able to play those games.
And yeah, you kind of became like reacquainted with it. Kind of like what happened with me and you and God of War
Yeah,
uh 2016 or
yeah,
whatever that one
yeah,
was. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um
And because I hadn't beaten it, so playing through the remaster was my first time actually like finishing the game, and did the
yeah.
DLCs, did the platinum for the base game. I don't think I did all the platinums for the extra DLCs. Um, and then
And
played
I
Miles platinum that one.
I think part of it too was like it kind of came on the heels of like me getting more seriously back into gaming and getting through all the Arkham games, and it was just like, oh, this is
Yeah.
like an Arkham game in a
Yeah.
different universe, and like wanting more content like that,
It
and
would
anyways,
definitely
yeah,
scratch that same itch for you
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, and just anyway, the it's not necessarily the music in that game, but the music font in that game was
Oh,
like
yeah, I'm going to
it's
talk
so
about
nice.
music
Yeah.
when we talk about Spider-Man 2, because
Mm.
they definitely call back. There's like a pretty distinct like Peter theme and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very distinct Miles theme.
yeah.
And those are used like so brilliantly in the sequel to
Oh,
to accentuate parts of each of their story. And there's even, I believe there's like a couple tracks I've heard where it mixes them together even.
man.
Yeah, they paid attention to like the music um and like the music theming in the first two games, and like called back a lot of that stuff, which I love that shit. Like as
Oh,
we've
yeah.
talked about with like Final Fantasy music and stuff, it's just like I love when they like call back an old melody, whether it's like an Easter egg or like
Yep.
narrative reasons to I love that shit. It like
Bl
tells
ble
such an
blend
extra.
themes together,
Yeah,
like yeah, yeah, or bleed one into the other.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I love that
that's
kind of
awesome.
stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what's on the docket for this episode. Um, so before we go into like the deep dive on God of War, how's like your trophy progress coming?
Yeah, this is so well timed. I got my platinum this morning.
Oh, you just got it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Damn.
Um,
Okay.
I was like, when we were gonna do this last night, and I was like, ah, crap, I'm not, I haven't got the platinum yet, and I kind of feel like I'm almost there. And then last
Sure.
night it was like, okay, let's do this. And uh just little deep dive here, but it was like I haven't played it in like 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks of work have just been insane, and, and
Sure.
and I was on the road, and so I
Oh, you
picked
like
it
all
up.
that muscle memory.
Oh man, I picked it up for the first time yesterday, bunch of errands, and then kind of okay, back home, let's call it like noon or something. And it's like, okay, what do I do again? Like how does this
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, load up the game, and I'm standing at the grave of the king, the berserker king. And so I was like, Okay, guess I'm just learning while battling one of like the super bosses.
Yeah.
And like 20 minutes of just like not even getting one rectangle of and I was like, okay, I clearly need to like
Ease
practice.
yourself back in.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't done the Surtur challenges in Muspelheim,
Oh
the
yeah. All those
fireplace.
arenas and yeah.
I did like one of the super challenges, and there's like
Okay.
15 or
Yeah,
something.
I forget how many exactly. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that will get me back into things, because you got to do like the little ones
Yeah.
before you get to the big one. And so those little ones will get me back into it. And I need a bunch more cash to upgrade my equipment, and
Right.
it's like, okay, then that will help me with this. So that's the way to do it.
Sure.
Um and I won't go too much into it, but it was like I totally misinterpreted how those big challenges work. I thought it was like,
Isn't it like depending on the oh god, it's been like a year, but isn't it depending on like which two small challenges you do gives you a third one, and like two
yes,
different combos give you a different one, and so on?
correct. But I thought, so you've got three small challenges,
Right.
and each one has three challenges in it. So
Right.
there's nine challenges effectively, which I did when I first got there in the game.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was going to be like, do the first challenge on this one, like 1-1-1. That's a big challenge.
Right.
1-1-2. That's another challenge. 1-1-3. And I was like, there's like, you know, nine polynomial combinations here. Like, this is going to be insane. And I was like, oh no, pick two. And it's, oh, okay, 1-2, 1-3, 2-3, 2-1, or
Oh,
like,
so it's
there's
yeah,
like
because you
one,
go in
two,
and there's
three,
two
one.
rounds of challenges in each of the three individual arenas.
Right.
So
And
it's
so
like
like
1-1-1-2, 1-3.
it doesn't matter which challenge you do at each sword. You just have to do it.
Okay.
So it's like defeat anyone at number one, defeat anyone of the three at number two, and that's an ultimate challenge.
Okay.
Defeat anyone at two, and then anyone at three, that's a new challenge. So it's about which sword did you go to, not which
Gotcha.
challenge did you do. Because I was like, this, how is this trophy like a silver? This is
Yeah.
insane.
When
Anyway.
you're explaining, like, I know I looked this up when I was doing it because I
Mm,
was getting confused, and I think I did like one or two, and I like didn't get a new ultimate challenge or something. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I'm not understanding how this works then, because I think in the first game it was more like what you were thought it was.
Yeah. It was a lot. I remember that was really long.
Yeah,
Anyway, I really liked it because there were a few key um challenges within those three that I really liked.
yeah.
So it was like, oh, I'm definitely doing this one. This one's fun.
I
But
definitely like was dreading it as I was about to do all of it, being like,
mm,
man, the ones in the first game, like some of those got really annoying to have, and I remember not feeling that when I was done. It's like, oh, like that was actually just pretty enjoyable the whole time. Like
yeah.
I found
uh,
they found a good balance. I feel like
And I had like put it off because I was like, I'm gonna have to redo those effing challenges so many times.
right,
And I was like, oh, I don't have to do it that many times. Okay, it's just,
yeah,
essentially
it's very
three.
reasonable.
Yeah. Um, and there's one where it's like, not, you essentially do no damage, and so you have to like launch them into the
I
lava
remember
in order
that
to
one.
kill.
Yeah,
And I was like, yes, I love that.
yeah,
So that's always super fun. So anyways, so I did that, got a bunch of stuff to upgrade my equipment, and kind of got a feel for the controls again. Oh, okay, gonna go beat this king guy.
yeah.
um and was still pretty. And so kind of right before that, so I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing this king. I got to do like the mother of all, like a million challenges in that fire realm. I had made up my mind at like 1 o'clock that afternoon. I was like, I might just not platinum this. Like, this might
Okay,
be a game that's just too hard to platinum. And then a few hours later, I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna platinum the shit out of this. And so got some good equipment, kind of dialed into a new build, more focusing on realm shifts.
Yeah.
And then was like, like you die a lot, you just got
Yes.
to win one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm getting to a point where I can get to like one rectangle of health left. It's like I just need to be a little luckier and a little bit better
Yeah.
one time,
Just the
and
execution.
yeah, I can do this. Anyway, and so then that night built that one, and it's always funny. Like I had the same feeling in the first one. Um, Sorry, we're already deep diving
That's
into
okay.
this.
That's fine.
But
We'll circle back around to it anyway.
yeah, it's like when you do beat it, you're like, that wasn't so hard. Why did it take me like
Yeah.
50 times? It's like, oh, because the stars kind of aligned on that time. So,
Yeah.
um, so that was really good. And then I was like, okay, I'm going now to the Valkyrie and beating this one.
Yeah.
And man, that's the super boss. Like,
Yeah, I was trying to remember which one of those gave me more trouble. I think I just had a harder time with like the Berserker King's like moves.
yeah,
And
I
maybe I don't
it was
they
a long
both
time
took
ago for
me,
you.
and they both
Yeah.
took me a while. Like I didn't like do one of them easy and the other one was hard, but I think the Berserker King took me more tries to get him down. I do feel like the Valkyrie Queen, I think I got that one down a little quicker, but I also did it second. So maybe I was just super tuned into the game in general after doing that Berserker King, that
Yep.
you know what I mean? I was already like at that, like, like 2 hours of
Dialed in.
practicing, right? So that could be
Yep.
why, actually, now that I think of it.
But yeah, like there were I had the king's moves pretty dialed in. Like uh with him, my dodges were really on point in that I could cause a realm shift. Like with the
Sure.
Valkyrie Queen, I felt like I was always dodging too early. I wouldn't get hit, but I wouldn't
You wouldn't trigger
cause
that effect,
wouldn't
yeah.
trigger that. But with the king, I always was. And he'd go up, and it's like you got to throw something at him to cancel out
Yeah.
whatever. And so I could do that really good. He'd do this kind of like punch thing, and I could like shield counter that very
Those feel
well.
so good.
Oh man, and just like the thing I love more than anything is when you get the stun gauge all the way up on them and it takes off like a chunk, like a whole
Yeah.
rectangle for
Yeah.
for bosses. Oh man, that always felt so good. So I had a pretty good strategy that I was pretty happy with. Um, my relic was you hit them with it, and then cooldowns go really quickly
Okay.
as you use your like your moves or whatever. And so it'd be like, okay, first thing, hit you with that, and I'm doing every move I have.
Sure.
Here's my ice R1. Here's my ice R2,
Yeah.
and just like then he's just like, holy crap! Like, lay off. Kind of stun him with everything that I have. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, now I just need to kind of execute to get those all to come back again and kind of try it again. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that worked well. And then but it was 2 a.m. and I was like, I'm finally getting somewhere with the Valkyrie Queen, to a point where like, if I just put in a few more hours, but I have to go to bed. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm literally falling asleep between like, okay, I didn't
Attempts.
win. I didn't win this, waiting for the load screen and just like, oh, what? Oh yeah, I'm finding this. This is not productive. Go to bed.
Sure.
And then like 2 tries this morning, and I did it. So,
Yeah, that's how it works sometimes, honestly.
yeah,
Like, I feel like even in like Souls games, there's sometimes I'm on a boss for like 3 or 4 hours, like, "Ugh, okay, I have to stop," and I come
yeah.
back in like 1 or 2 tries, like, oh, I just needed to like step away and
Yep.
let it settle for a bit, and then like my muscle memory was still there. So
It's like
yeah.
a boss fatigue or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I get that
anyways,
too.
then this morning, like super dialed in. I like everything she was doing. I knew it. It's like there are a few moves that I'm just like 50-50 on whether I get whether this hits me or not.
Sure.
But some it'll be like, I'm always gonna dodge this. I know what
Yeah.
she's doing. I was pretty dialed in. I was pretty happy to get that. And then
Nice.
oh, it's funny. I I was getting pretty good with her, and then I was like, "Wait, I need to make sure that this is my last trophy."
Sure.
And there was one that was like, "Upgrade a full armor set." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't done that yet." So like walking
Yeah.
over, boop, boop, boop. Okay, they're done. Now go back to fighting her. So
I
yeah.
think mine was it. I think I was kind of in a similar situation where like I was doing the Valkyrie Queen. I'm like, wait, is this my last one? But my last one, I think, was actually where you go to that like funeral
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
for God, not Sindri. What's his brother's
Brock.
name? What is it again?
Brock.
Brock, right? It's like
Yeah.
go attend Brock's funeral or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Which is cinematic and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I was like, okay, like that's okay. That's a good last one too. So I'll do the
Yeah.
Valkyrie first, and then I'll finish with that one.
I
Uh,
was I was like disappointed but not on the fact that like you're literally I was like as soon as you get that R3 trigger pop up, I'm just like, yes, he's gonna whip the wings off of her, and it's
no,
gonna like all the other ones, and he like literally is about to. And anyway, then that
Freya's.
that, that whole scene, and I was just like, oh, like I get it, and that's so good, but oh, I was just because there were no Valkyries in well, no, the Berserker fights replaced the Valkyrie ones in the
Yeah,
first.
that sort of structure. Like there were some that you fought in the story, but it
Mm.
wasn't like that progressive boss build up of
Yeah,
Valkyries or whatever is the Berserker Kings instead. Yeah.
but oh, anyway, so that was awesome, and so I went. I was laughing because I was like, I literally went within 24 hours from I'm not getting platinum on this. This is gonna be way too hard.
Yeah.
To just being like, yeah, fuck you, I got it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
um,
so I have sort of a similar story, and we're not done talking about God of War. We're going to come back around to it, because I do have more stuff I want to talk about. But just while we're talking about stuff we've been like catching up on or whatever,
yeah.
um,
Sorry, that was my
that's fine.
catch
That's
up.
fine. Those are things I was going to ask you about anyway, and I didn't know you actually got the platinum. So
No, I was keeping that secret. So
yeah. So a game now, not as quick of a turnaround necessarily, but a game I was playing that I didn't really like have much of an intention of getting the platinum. I was gonna be happy just finishing the game and you know just playing it here and there or whatever. Was that Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy game?
oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so once I beat Mario Wonder, I'm in this did I beat? Yeah, Spider Man. I beat Spider Man first, and then Mario Wonders after, like a couple
I've
days
I've
later.
seen I've seen you playing a lot of theater rhythm like
Yes.
nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was kind of in this weird spot where next Friday, from when we're recording right now, is Mario RPG Remake and Persona 5 Tactics. And those are two, chunky games that I'm going to be sinking my teeth into. And I finished Mario and Spider Man. I was like, what the fuck do I do for like a week and a half?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to start like a new game in like my backlog that is gonna take a while. So I was like playing some of random games and I was like playing some Battlefield to fill in the gaps or whatever. But I was like, I need more than just like a random multiplayer game to like. So I'm like oh, this is what it was. Is uh they released a DLC pack for Theater Rhythm of FF16 music.
So that's what I thought. I thought you were just like, oh, it must be a pretty extensive FF16 yeah DLC. But
Yeah.
sorry,
So
continue.
and it's like what is it, like 7 or 8 tracks or something, and they're all the good ones. Like it's all good ones.
Oh man.
And anyway, so I like because it was like $5 or something for that DLC pack. So yeah, I will gladly pay $5 to play those
I pay
songs.
I'd pay $5 a song
Yeah.
for FF16. Yeah.
Yeah. So because there was that, and there was one of like the packs of multiple things that was like Octopath, Near
Oh, cool.
Replicant, and Trials of Mana, and Chrono Trigger slash Chrono Cross.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was like $15. So I was like, I spent 20 to get the 16 and the other one. I was like,
Yeah.
like I'll just play these, like, like that. I enjoy that game a lot, and it's fun, like playing along with the music and stuff. And
And you're I was talking about this. I was like, you're weirdly like incredible at those kind of games.
so by
Like,
internet standards, I'm not because online you see people play like Guitar Hero and stuff that it's like that is light years ahead of me. But it's like when I find the right difficulty that's not like the easy baby mode, it's like I can definitely like tune into it. And it's like
yeah,
I
yeah,
can
yeah,
just, especially with this game, because it's not about specifically pressing specific buttons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
When it's a button press, it's just any face button or shoulder button.
True,
And
true.
then it's like an analog stick,
Yeah,
directional,
yeah.
and then some of them you just press and hold or whatever. So it doesn't really matter like which buttons you're pressing. It's just more about pressing them in rhythm with the music.
But
And
still,
because I know that like Final Fantasy music so well, it's like I can, as long as I can kind of generally see what it wants me to do, I can do it to the rhythm like pretty well, and I can really like kind of zone in and do that. And it's like I play. There's a difficulty higher that I've tried once, twice, and I was like, "Fuck no, I can't do that."
yeah,
But the one like I go depending on the song and what the mission is. I'll go between like expert and ultimate, and I genuinely have fun playing those games that way. And
yeah,
so I got those packs, and I was like, I think I just got like a couple. Like I got by doing those, I was like, some of the trophies are like get so many perfect chains, which is
yeah,
just
yeah.
like not missing a note in the whole
Yep.
song or whatever, which is not as hard as it sounds, especially on some songs that they don't get you to do like insane things. But you had to like do, I forget how many, like 15 or 20 different songs that way. And while
Yeah.
doing these ones, I got a couple. So I'm like, oh, I'm actually close to that trophy. And
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
there's a couple that's like, there's a couple that required like some grinding to like, because you have like party members and you can level them up and stuff and
Yep.
stat building. Because like one of the modes is like, well, to do all the series quests is you know how you played the demo, so you like pick one of
Yep.
the games and you just go through it's like all the songs in that one,
Yep.
and it's like it's got a quest for you. It's like hit an enemy or kill an enemy with an ice attack, or
Yep.
kill 10 enemies or find 10 treasure chests, and some of your party members have abilities that make some of these quests easier. So it's like building a party. It's almost like a mobile game like feeling
Yeah,
where like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
what's this mission? Okay, let me try this party and this setup, and I'll okay, it didn't work. Let me try tweaking it a little bit, whatever. And like I like
Yeah.
that stuff a lot, and I find that really
Mm.
fun. So I had to do all of the quests. Is one of the trophies. Like every quest for that entire
Mm.
of the non DLC, because they
Mhm.
didn't do that. They didn't add the DLC ones to that. But some of those took a while because it's just like I need to build this very specific team up
Yeah.
to a
That have no
certain level
experience
and
so far.
stats,
Yeah.
yeah, to be able to even have a chance at doing that quest. And, anyway, it just like kind of started like trickling in some of these trophies just by trying to get another trophy. Like I would do
Yeah, yeah,
things in
yeah.
perfect chain and whatever, and then I was like, okay, like this actually feels kind of doable now. So,
Yep.
in this week I was telling Matt it was just a very busy week for me at work, and so it was like nothing is more therapeutic for me, even though like the game it can be like kind of intense because you're like
Mhm.
focusing so hard. But like I'm literally just sitting here for like 3 or 4 hours a night just listening to Final Fantasy
Listening to Final
music.
Fantasy music.
Like
Yeah. No,
that
exactly.
literally is all it felt like to me. Is was like, oh, I can easily just turn my brain off and like do this all week. And then the last couple trophies were like intense to get because they were like really a couple quests that were really hard to get, and it just took a couple tries and just making very small tweaks to my party just to like and like one of them was like kill this boss like just before the end of the song, and the boss has 3 times normal HP, and there's
Yeah.
like 5 fights before that boss. So it's like I literally got to it and got to the boss, and like the last note was going, and then it was uh, like I think Noctis was one of the guys in my party, and it was like that last note triggered one of his moves, boom, dead. Quest clear. I was like, oh my god, it was so intense. So there's a few that like I got in like the last hit, or some
Yeah.
of them are like clear it with like 90% critical or better, and there's only
Oh
like there's
god.
like critical and rainbow critical,
Mhm.
and there was one that it was just like, and like when you're doing the song, if it's like kill an X amount of enemies or get treasure chests or whatever, like if you do the quest before the song is done, you there's a little chime and you see a little thing on the top that says like quest cleared.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like 90%, so it's like even if I get all of it, I wouldn't know until the last 10%
Er,
if I got
y
it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like right near, and it was a long song too. I mean long, it was probably like 2.5 minutes or something, but some of them
Mhm.
aren't that long. It felt long anyway. It definitely felt longer. And it was like the lead up to the end was like a couple notes, and then like one double one, and then one double hold one. And it's like
Yeah.
the hold ones, you also have to let them go at the right time, and those
Yeah.
count. And
Yep,
it was
yep,
like
yep.
the same thing. It was like hit the last two holding, and I was like, ah, I didn't get it. And it's like right as I
Yeah.
let it go, I'm like, oh, I got it. Like the last notes, because I got critical on those last ones or whatever
On the
on
release.
the
Yeah,
release
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so it was a lot of grinding, and there was the last one. I'm so stupid. There's like an endless mode, which basically does what the series quests do, where it's just like it gives you an objective, and sometimes you
Mhm.
have, between 1 and 3 choices, like on that level. And
Yeah.
if you fail the quest, you have like 3 hearts, and if you fail the quest, you lose a heart. And if you lose all
Mm.
3, that your run is over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the last trophy I had was get 20 clears, like 20 courses in endless mode.
'Kay.
And the quests get harder every
Ah,
level, so they get
yeah.
more and more intense. And so I'm dumb for 2 reasons. Number one, I thought it said 30. So I was just like super discouraged when I was dying at like 10 or 11. Like, I gotta start over. And other reason I'm dumb is because you get a reward for doing the quest, and it's usually like one of the items to boost one of your character stats, or to
Yeah.
boost your XP or whatever. And I did not realize until like my 5th run that sometimes one of the rewards is like restore 1 heart. I did not I did not notice that until like the 4th or 5th run. I was like, oh, of course, like whatever the quest is, when it's that one, I'm gonna just do that one, because if I'm down
Yeah.
one anyway. So then it was like probably like my 6th or 7th that I was at like 15, and I had 3 hearts because I had like lost one but gained one or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh man, I'm only halfway there. And I
Yeah.
like get to like 19 or something, and I like, I think I lost 2 hearts by the time I got to 19. Go to 20, cleared it. You don't get the trophy right away because it just like it gives you your like your
Breakdown or whatever?
yeah, like
Or
when you
yeah.
finish, like, oh, you cleared X amount of stages.
Yeah.
And I was at like 24 on this 1 heart. I'm like, God, like just stressing. There was like one
Yeah.
fight I did where I was like looking at the quest, and I was like looking at like my party makeup for like 10 minutes. I like trying, like, oh, but if I do this, this might be good. It says hit so many weaknesses. Let me look up the weaknesses of all these enemies. Like I was like past 20, like I was like 24 or something. And then I died at like 20, excuse me, at like 25. And I was like, fuck. Because it honestly took like an hour and a half to get that
Yeah, yeah,
far. Like probably,
yeah,
maybe even a little more. And I was so annoyed and like disappointed. I was like, well, I'm done for today. Like I can't do another like hour and a half run. Get
yeah.
back out. Oh, you cleared 20 stages, whatever. Bling! I was like, what? Wait, what? I was like, 'cause I still thought it was 30. And then it was like the trophy and then the little platinum trophy
Platinum one?
animation.
Oh,
I was like,
nice,
what a
nice.
fucking roller coaster.
Man,
So
that's the weirdest emotional approach to a platinum trophy for sure, where like you're angry and didn't realize you won it.
yeah.
That's a unique experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
so yeah, I finished. I was yesterday too, actually. I finished that
oh,
platinum.
nice.
So similarly, just one where I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go for this platinum. Like, but this was back in like February or something,
Yeah.
when other games started coming out. And then as I just started playing it again, just because it was like a perfect little in between game waiting for my
Yep.
next ones, and then yeah,
Yeah.
so then I finished that, and now I'm like, well, now what do I play? So
Oh man, it's funny. There's something let's call it like euphoric but depressing about getting a platinum trophy.
yeah,
And I had it exactly. I had it with FF16. I had it with this, where it was just like this is. I woke up this morning. It's like I went to bed at like 2 a.m. but got up at like 7.
yeah,
Just like God, I've got. Like I gotta like run downstairs and just like tackle this
yeah,
queen here again. And again, it happened like third try or whatever. So it was like it's barely
they're
like
all jazzed up.
three sips into my coffee, and I was like, well, now what do I do? And
Got all this energy built up.
it's funny because between so I beat the king, but I didn't go fight the Valkyrie yet. I was like, oh, I need to upgrade my
Mhm.
armor, and it was like, oh, I've got the dragon armor is like the chest armor is something I've had like pretty much the entire game, and it's a good build for me. So I was like, oh, okay, I should upgrade this, but I need some very specific um uh like
Like
dragon
resources,
claw.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what? Where do I get these? This seems really specific. Like, oh, you get them just kind of going through the side quests. Like, well, I've done all the side quests. Like, where do I get this? Oh, there's this one side quest that's not part of any trophy or anything. It's like
Ah,
some sort of like relic where you go see this big statue and you just use it, and then a dragon like comes out of the statue and you fight
oh,
it.
yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah,
And so I was like, oh man, this sounds like it should have been a trophy. But okay, like just a side quest, a side quest boss.
yeah.
And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. Got that. Then upgraded my armor to get that trophy. Um, then ultimately got the platinum, and I was like, is there any other crap like this that's like not a trophy? And like, oh yeah, there's some troll thing that you're supposed to do. And I was like, oh man, okay, I've got a few more things I can
Sure.
do here. It's like
It's like a
FF7
victory lap.
yeah, like FF7 remake, getting all of Cloud's outfits and Aerith's outfits
Yeah,
and
that
Tifa's outfits,
it's like the battle or there's that log
resolutions.
that you unlock at the end of the game, and it tracks like enemy skills, like assess targets, all that stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and so you could get the platinum before that was
yeah,
filled out.
yeah.
But FF7, it was like, well, I'm obviously
We're gonna
getting
do
this
everything.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like, oh, okay, there's clearly some stuff here that so I did a little bit of that.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I still have some stuff I can do. But then I don't know. I always get this. Like it just like it becomes a point where I'm just like, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Um,
it's less that like I'm not having fun anymore, but it's like I've gotten what I wanted from this game at this point. Like
yeah.
playing
Yeah.
it more won't enhance the feeling I currently have, so I'm just gonna leave it and just like
Yep.
that way I'll revisit it down the road at some point, and I won't be like burnt on it.
Yep. And like I think there's still a few sorry, there are a few things I could do. Like there's one or two lores that I don't have. Like I'm probably 98% on
Sure,
one or two realms, but I was like, I don't know. Uh I'd say the one if it's a 99% game in my mind, which it
sure,
probably is, like it's a great game. I loved it. The 1%, the map kind of sucks.
sure. Yeah, I remember getting like lost and like having to look up how to get to this thing that I remember seeing And I remember being there, but I don't know how to tell by looking at the map how I get here to there.
Yeah, and like, uh, I don't necessarily blame the map for like the 3D-ness of it. Like it's like, oh, I'm at the right spot, but I'm not 12
Yeah.
floors beneath or whatever. But I don't know. You just can't zoom in very much, and it's not very descriptive. It's kind of cartoony. I remember I'd always be like, I hate this map.
Yeah. I
And
definitely had similar moments. Yeah.
but and so I was like, oh, finding a lore that I need to read, or and like all of the all of the favors, I think, or whatever, like of just like, oh, mastering each of your skills, kind of like
Oh, yeah,
bronze.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, if there was a trophy associated with this, I'd probably track this. But it was like, you know what? I think I'm done. I had a great time. I love
Yeah.
this game to
Don't
death.
sour it by ending on things that you didn't enjoy as much.
Yep, exactly. So I was just like, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to hang up the controller on this game. So
Yep.
no, and so it was great. And it's funny because so I did that. It's like 8 a.m. And I dedicated like the whole day to trying to do this. Um, and there's a book that I've been reading that I've been pretty close to the end, has been kind of unfulfilling, and then in the last like couple of chapters really like, oh man, oh crap, and then like finish that book. So like, okay, like that's done. I did like kind of a bunch of like chores and stuff yesterday, so I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to do any of that. I was like, what the fuck do I do with my day?
I know.
I just finished like a big thing at work too, so I'm in this very weird vacuum of and I was like, maybe just gonna have a nap.
Yeah, there's been like some nights
Yeah.
where I think it was like this. I think it was right before Spider-Man and Mario Wonder came out, where I was in that in between space again, and I was just like, I guess I'll just sit down and like watch a movie. Like I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's always like watching a movie on my second screen while I'm playing something,
Yeah.
and because it was towards the end of October, um, and so I was like, I'll watch like a couple like I'm not good on like horror movies or anything, but I'll watch some like creepier movies or just some like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Quarantine. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and that was
yeah,
one I remember watching and really liking before, and I just like I found a copy of it like on Blu-ray on Amazon for like $5, and I was like, oh, I want to watch this movie again, and it's not on any streaming platform, so I bought that a couple months ago, and I was saving it for October, like that would be a good like movie to watch or not. So there's like one
yeah,
night I like watched that and like 10 Cloverfield Lane, and there's like
yeah,
a third movie I just watched like all afternoon. I was like, I haven't just sat down and just watched a movie in a long time
yep,
because I'm always like, especially this year because it's just like so many big games coming out that I felt like I was just constantly, trying to hold back a tidal wave.
yep. No,
So yeah,
exactly. And so that's kind of how it's been. So um, because things are always, so busy for me, just period, work,
yeah.
gaming, socially, whatever. When I get in the uncomfortable silence, I'm just like, oh, what do I
What do I
do here?
do?
Yeah. Um, and like, and it's funny because last weekend for me, was I kind of mentioned this to you a little bit, was like Attack on Titan finished.
Sure.
And so I was like, I don't even know what's going on. I've been like the last season I've been watching like on planes and like on
Sure.
and traveling. I've been kind of half-assing. I was like, I should just watch like all of season 4 so that I'm ready for the final episodes.
Right.
And then like all Saturday it was just me like just and then like that like again 24 hours of what's the show even about? 24 hours later,
This is the best
holy
show
crap!
ever.
Yeah, like what
Yeah.
is happening? It's
Yeah,
like
like, when you lay it
how
all
have I?
out like that for both of us, I think we have a problem.
Yeah, I was like,
We do this a lot.
how have I only been half-assing this? This story is blowing my mind right now. So it's just like it's a classic. There's a Simpsons meme in my mind that's like Homer remembering his night last night, and he's like, Mose, perhaps I'll wet my whistle. There's like scene missing. It's just like him passed out on the couch or whatever. But it's like, maybe I won't get this platinum trophy on this game. Maybe this is a game that I don't platinum. Scene missing.
God damn you, stupid Valkyrie bitch! Yeah.
Yeah, everything in my life is built up to this moment.
Um. Here, we'll jump around and we'll actually just talk a couple more points about God of War that I want to bring up before we move to the Mario Wonder uh impressions. One thing that so I love the new like spear ability
Oh man.
both for like traversal and puzzle solving and combat.
Yep.
I refresh my memory. I feel like there was one where you could like throw the spear multiple times in them and just like hit it on the ground and it would like explode all the ones you've impaled or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember using that a lot on certain fights just because it like was a good interrupt or something. It had some utility that I really liked.
Yeah. It also like for Final Fantasy language staggers. Their stagger goes up. Their stun.
Yeah.
Their stun goes up a lot.
And one of the like fancy like I forget what they call them, but like the kill the R3 kill
animations. Yeah.
And I remember I literally had to like get a video of this and bring it to someone at work to show them because it was so hard to explain how fucking cool it was. It's like it was when you're fighting like a more like humanoid type character, and it was like I forget what leads into it, but it's like he goes and like takes the spear and like stabs it, like because it's like he makes them right. He makes the spears, and just like ching, ching, ching. He just puts like 3 or 4 of them that he keeps spawning, like just keeps like stabbing like another one into their chest and just like impales them into the ground or whatever. I remember that was like one of my favorite kills in that game. It just looked because it was like I don't know what it was. It was like the animation or the sound that it made and how like brutally he like because it's so like it's such like a graceful weapon normally. And it's just like chinka da. It's just like so brutal. I remember I had to like take a video of that and like show it to someone at work because it was just so fucking cool.
I really kind of dialed into the weapon set there where it'd be like, you know what, if I just want to really do some like hard effing damage, I get my axe out and like I can really pummel people pretty good, especially with there's some extra stuff you can do with the axe where you frost it, or things like that. But like if it's like, okay, you know what, crowd control is my blades of chaos of just like there's too many people here.
So good.
And even my favorite like R2, the heavy runic ability or whatever, it was like this like
the clap. I always called it the clap for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. And it just so I love that. And then the spear was so quick and did a lot of stun damage, and especially because it'd be like stab, back end, stab, back end. Like it was so quick that you could do stuff. And the thing that really got me was you could throw it and you didn't need to wait for it to come back like the axe in order to throw again. So so I could kind of do like flying enemy crowd control of fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Some of those annoying flyers. And then like do the thing that blows them up. And I remember another kill move. Again, it was like one of the humanoids like type enemies. I feel like I remember him like stabbing them like through the gut and just grabbing them both on front and back and just and I just like remember seeing the look on like the person's face when he does that, and I was like, oh god, I don't feel good about that one. It's like they really captured the pain on that face. Oh man. And Kratos is so unhinged.
Oh god, seriously, like that guy goes from 0 to 11 real fast. I feel like I didn't really dial into this until I did one of the challenges, the in the fire realm there,
Yep.
was like it was called like uh weapon mastery or something, and it was all the enemies had like one of the, you know, the gauges that you need to reduce before you can start doing actual damage. So, and if it's a an orange gauge, you need to use ice stuff
Oh
to kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
get.
yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
If it's a blue one, you need to use fire, etc. And it was just like, oh, that's what these are. And then like that really helped in with the boss fights, the
Yeah.
super bosses and whatnot, because that's critical.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just love that. It's like, oh, you think you're gonna put up a big old blue shield, do you? Well, watch this. Swing around my thing, and then like, there, fuck you. All right, we're done. You had your moment. We're done with that. Okay, now let's fight. So, yeah, exactly.
um so really one of the parts I really liked about the game was like everyone tells you that Odin is an asshole. Like
Yeah,
everyone is making it very clear that he's a lying piece of shit and don't trust him and he's an asshole. And I still found myself like interested in what he was when it was him and Atreus when he had those
yeah,
like just small moments with them.
yeah,
I was still like I was almost buying his bullshit like a few times where I'm like, oh
yeah,
man, like and that's just a testament to the writing, right? Like and like
yeah.
the characterization and the voice actor.
I was about to
Um,
say, and the voice acting too, because I don't know who the voice actor is. It sounded kind of familiar,
I have to look it up again. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head.
but I was just like, what's where's the twist? There's gonna be a twist at the end where Odin is, and it's actually Hades or
Someone else.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever. But anyway, I
No,
always thought like
he's just a bastard.
manipulative.
Super manipulative.
Yeah.
And it's like intimidating how calm he is all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like I remember thinking that even in that first meeting when you're with like in like Kratos'
Thor.
house or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
it genuinely it was like unnerved by how like calm he was, and you know
Yeah.
he's like the big bad potentially.
Yeah.
But man, just like you could play a villain in like a really cartoony, obviously villainous sort of like cackling way, but
Yeah.
like that's the easy way, right? Like that I
Yeah.
feel like is that's the way to get across to the audience in the fewest like words or the littlest effort possible to be like I'm the bad guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you do it with by following those tropes, and that's what I love about the writing in this game is like it's
No
like
tropes.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it really is like because even Thor, I felt like a little bad for him when you're doing missions with him as Atreus,
Yeah.
and like, but it's like no, he's like fuck Thor, like he's just came and like destroyed our house, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the characterization of those two specifically, I feel like were really good. Um, and
Especially because
so
it's like want to establish a bad guy in the first scene, get him to kill a kid or kill your favorite you know, whatever,
right.
but make them cartoonishly evil.
Exactly. Yeah. And then
And
there's no
no,
redeeming qualities
yeah, yeah,
with a villain like that, right? Whereas this one, it's like, he comes and attacks you, but it's because you killed his. What would that be? Thor's son? No. Who's
uh,
Balder?
I guess it's Freya's son.
Oh, so that'd be like Odin's other son.
You did kill two of Odin's sons, sorry, of Thor's sons in the first one,
Oh
like
yes, those
at
yes,
some
I
point. Yeah,
remember that fight. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's like, yeah, he had a good reason for coming to want to,
yeah,
to fight me or whatever. So,
yeah.
um, uh, so we talked about this when we were playing Tekken. But I remember watching like some interview with one of the like the director
Ah,
of the game or whatever, and
yeah.
just how like it's like we knew we could like they wanted to figure out what their like chaos
Thing
blades
was,
moment was gonna be because that was like the biggest deal in the first game. And I don't know, even though I played that game so late, I don't
Mm.
know how that didn't get spoiled for me.
Yeah.
I had no
Yeah.
idea that those were going to make an appearance in the first game, and that whole sequence of just
Oh,
getting there,
the
and he's like
the
talking to like,
music and
and he's talking
yeah.
to like the ghost of, I forget which, it's one of the Greek goddesses that he's talking to. It's probably Athena or something. But anyway, that whole moment was just so fucking good. And um, they said like I feel like he even said like, we know we can't match that moment because that was
Mm,
such a and that's such a buildup of so many years of other games and stuff. So it's like they knew they
yeah.
couldn't like have the same moment, but they wanted to have a similar moment where you just
Yeah.
don't see it coming and it really shifts the story in a crazy way or whatever. And it's when what's his name, the God of War, why am I forgetting his name, who Odin's pretending to be?
Oh, Tyr?
Tyr. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
When he reveals himself and kills Brock,
Yeah.
and just like that was like the moment they were like super secretive about, and they
Yeah.
really, and it was like I'd have to look up the interview. I'll send it to you to watch at some point, just because there's so many little details about if you were to play the game again, there's like you can tell there are
Yeah.
hints that that's Odin the whole
Yeah.
time, right from
Yeah.
the first time you meet him in the prison.
Yeah.
I think you said there's like a some loose feathers like nearby or something, like
Oh, wow.
something to that, like that small. And there's a lot of little hints that it's him. And he talked about how there's so many moments where Odin is just like spying on you to
Yeah.
try and
Yeah.
figure out what you're doing, to the point that when you first get to like that dwarven sort of village where you're coming in on a boat,
Yeah.
he said if you watch that scene the first time, there's a dwarf walking across the bridge that you're going under, and he spits on you, and he said that's Odin. He's actually just like shape shifted as that dwarf in that moment, and it's like, yeah, he's there and he just spits on you because he hates you or whatever.
Oh, man.
And there's like so many little things like that they do where he's just omnipresent, right?
Oh,
And
man.
that's so cool. Like that is not a thing they draw any attention to. I never would have known that if I didn't watch this interview,
Yeah.
where he mentioned that, and it's like that's just something that's like world building where it's like, how do I put it? It's like it's not like holding up a big cue card and be like, this is the story right now. It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
filling in the stuff around you that you're not even realizing, but it somehow still is like greater than the sum of its parts, and builds that world
Yeah.
out in such an interesting way. And also when you find out about that stuff after, it's like you're kind of like, oh, like fuck that guy, man. Like, and,
Yeah.
and it like it adds to the, and it's less of like a video game thing, and it's more like, oh, that like crafty son of a bitch. Like you
Yeah.
you still
He
think of
got
him
me.
as that villain, or like as a
Yeah.
character, not as just a video game thing someone programmed.
Yeah.
Uh,
I kind of like not ones and zeros.
yeah,
He got me, not
yes,
Kratos. It got
right,
me. Like, yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's weird, maybe everyone doesn't think that way when they're playing games, but when it's a game that just does such a good job at drawing you in and like really immersing you in that game's world and its like narrative, it's like that's what it does to me. It's like I will think about stuff like this after, and like it's a meme that we talk about Final Fantasy all the time, but it's like literally when I'm thinking, you know sometimes I'll just be like thinking about Final Fantasy 7 because that's just what I do in my daily life. And I'll just be like, I'll just think of a thing Sephiroth did. I'm like, ah, oh, fuck Sephiroth, man. Like,
Yeah.
why you gotta like leave Cloud alone?
Yeah.
It's like well after I finished the game, I was like, God, that guy's a bastard.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
just stuff like that, because and same. That's exactly how I felt when I was like watching this interview about the things, because there were more. That's just the one I remember the most. That was the one I remember really vividly. of just him doing that stuff, and I'm like, oh, he fucking got me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They are masters of their craft when it comes to like a slow burn, like world building,
Yeah.
just narrative storytelling. Is just like even like camera work. Like it's not even a video game. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yeah.
it's God, I love that game so much.
You were talking about this, and I'm glad you mentioned it when I was partway through, because then I kind of
Look for it.
really noticed it, is the fact that it never cuts. It's almost
Yep.
it's one continuous shot all the time. And it
Outside of like loading screens and or dying or whatever. But even
yeah,
loading screens, I think the only loading screen is like if you die. There's no loading screen just traveling to another place or anything.
yeah,
Like it's one if you were to play without ever dying or like stopping and start restarting your game, uh yeah, there would be no camera cut the whole time.
yeah. And like maybe like when you go through a mystic time gate or whatever, maybe there's a flash of white or something, but it's still pretty
Yeah, barely. I feel like it never fully obscures Kratos.
yeah,
It
yeah.
like just is like essentially loading the level for you or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that it just became like yeah, that is a really cool, when as we talk about, it's an embarrassment of riches right now of games. And so how do games make themselves be unique, and storytelling, da da da. But like
Yeah.
it's a very subtle thing that just really pegs it as like, why does this game seem
Why does it feel different?
visually
Yeah.
feel different? And it's like, oh yeah, no, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah,
And that was like a thing they said from the start of the first game, like the
yeah,
2018. When I say the first game, is like that was their goal. Is like no cut the whole time.
yeah,
So even in the first game, they did that, and continued it in this one. Even when you're going, that's why I really like the way they like go from Kratos to like Atreus. Like I think he like there's one point where he's like laying in bed, and he like puts something on his like bedstand or nightstand or whatever, and
yeah,
then like it goes from that nightstand over, and now you're just in like Atreus's room or something. Like just
yeah,
some little weird transition like that. Yeah,
yeah. Wow,
yeah,
so well done. The music was awesome. The uh yeah, the storytelling, the villains were great. Just the music in terms of going with the action, like the
yeah,
music placement was so good,
yeah.
visually stunning, and the controls are really fun when you're dialed in.
I know,
Oh
man.
man, you're really
You're definitely like you got the claw on that game for
yeah, yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
In like the best way possible.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I loved it. It was great, and a nice, a very happy platinum. And now I got to figure out what's next. Cause my buddy Cam was asking me about this today. He's like, "What's next?" I was like, "Well, Rebirth comes out in February, and like I know it seems like that's a
Tekken in
long way.
January.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, look, I don't know. I got to find something that I probably have the capacity or the cycles for one other game, but not
Yeah.
quite sure what that is yet. Yeah.
Um, we'll find you something.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no. No,
I'll find you something, I'm sure.
it's funny though, because Ragnarok was like the kind of number two on my list
Yeah.
for a while, where I'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna play FF16. Oh no, I'm gonna play trying to think what else I was playing, but like friends, you or Cam or whatever, be like, can you just goddamn play God of War now, please? Like, I'll get to it. And it's like, oh, why didn't I play this earlier? But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
this,
that like I've done that with several games, and it's just like if I were to do it when it was out, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much because I would have been too distracted with other games
yep,
or whatever it is. So
yep,
it's just about finding like that right like sort of chunk of time that you can slot that game in, and it's got your full attention, and it
yep,
for a couple of weeks or whatever, and that you'll be able to actually like see it through, And yeah, there's something to be said about like finding the right time, even though it's a game, like I'm trying to think of a good example of one for me, but I know there's been several. Oh, Elden Ring was that for me.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I love all the Souls games. I played them all by the time Elden Ring came out. Excuse me, because the Demon Souls remake, I played that when it came on PS5. And I love them. I love those games. I get so much enjoyment, a lot of rage, and a lot of frustration, but it's
Yeah.
like ultimately worth it, right? And that's what those games are just about. But when Elden Ring came out, I think it came out right around Horizon Forbidden West,
Mm,
and there's some other game around that time that was out that I was just like, like Elden, like I know it's going to be a massive game. I just don't have the capacity right now to
yeah.
to really give myself to it 100%. And I only that came out February last year, like February 2022.
Yeah.
And I only got around to it like I think that was in like April or May this year or something. Like it was earlier this year.
Mm.
Might even man, was that after FF16? It might have been after FF16.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
but it was over a year later, and I love
Yeah.
the Souls games, but it's just like and I just knew it was going to be a massive game because it's like really open world, and I knew it was going to be longer than a normal Souls game. But I found it right in that perfect slot, and I put like 100 hours in or something, like it was like
Yeah.
90 hours or something by the time I beat it. But probably more. I think it was actually over 100. But it's like because I had no other games really in the way, getting in the way of letting me fully enjoy that, and I fucking
Yeah.
loved it. Like I absolutely loved that game, and I know it's because I gave it I got it
The
at the right
attention.
time. Exactly. I
Yep.
gave it the attention I wanted to give it. So yeah, there's something to be said for that for sure. Not just forcing a game because it's new. I mean, I was good at avoiding discussion around it because I didn't want it to be, any big things ruined for me or whatever. So it does
Yeah.
take some work on your part if you put a game off for a while. But there
Yeah.
are some games where it's like there's everything else is getting paused.
Yeah.
You know, there are times where the opposite is true, where it's like everything else can wait. Now, it's this game's turn
Yeah.
to shine. So it goes up both ways.
Yeah.
Um, okay, why don't we just take? I guess we'll take a break here in a sec. But any last parting thoughts about God of War that you want to?
Uh,
I think you've said most of it, but
yeah, no, just a great game. The ending sequence of battles, whatever, is just epic.
yeah,
It's
what a
every
spectacle, man! Like,
it's visually stunning and uh narratively impressive, where they just bring there's lots of people that you've come across in the way along the way.
yeah,
Uh anyway, a wicked game. And actually, you alluded to this earlier, all the kind of epilogue kind of stuff with Brock and all that, like
yeah,
it's really powerful, like
really satisfying. Like, and then you get to the point at the end when he's like looking at that mural and like getting, and it
mm,
says goodbye to Atreus because he's going off with that. I forget her name, but the other giant girl.
yeah.
Um, and it's like you and Freya just sort of like share a look or whatever and a few words, and you
Mm.
start walking down that mountain, and the credits start coming up on screen while it's like
Oh,
it's
just
just so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
It's such a
just
small thing, but it just adds so much to that like satisfying like feeling of reaching the end.
it was really cool. Yeah, like the credits at that point, and then like you get kind of a second set of credits at the funeral,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just like, fuck this game.
yeah,
Anyway, so well done. And it's impressive too that like there are, I don't know if they're all from the same studio or the same, production company or whatever, but like that, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, um,
oh, those are all different
La
different developers.
different developer.
So it's PlayStation giving them the money, because they're
Yeah,
publishing, but it's like, so Santa Monica Studios is the God of War like developers.
yeah.
Guerrilla Games is for Horizon, which did like Killzone before, like first person
Eh,
shooter. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
cool to see them, move on. And then what was the third
And
one you
then
said?
then like Naughty Dog was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like the if you go far enough up the chain, like PlayStation is giving them the cash or whatever.
Yeah, they
But
definitely. So this is the thing when you get into like PlayStation versus Xbox like discussions, is like I do genuinely feel like PlayStation has a good eye
mm,
for like what projects to like give money
invest
to
in.
and
Yeah,
invest in and buy the studio or whatever. And I do feel like they just have such a better eye for that kind of thing.
yeah.
And that's where you get exclusives like God of War, Horizon. Yeah, because Horizon was PlayStation only, wasn't it? Yeah, that
Pretty
wasn't on
sure.
Xbox.
Yeah,
It came to PC eventually, but
yeah.
the first one. But yeah, it's like I'll forever argue. You know, you say, and this is not the podcast to start a console war, obviously, but whenever if anyone ever tries to like unsell me on PlayStation because like, oh well, Xbox does this better, this, I was like, okay, but like games though,
Yeah.
what about the games?
Yeah,
That's kind of important, you know the game part for me.
yeah,
So yeah, they have an eye for what to snatch up and get exclusivity for, because yeah, and
yeah,
like Uncharted, like those two have been
yeah,
famously PlayStation exclusives for since the PS3.
yeah.
So yeah, ah,
But
so good.
anyways, yeah, kind of no more closing remarks. Just a great game. Loved it. Was recommended it by
Everyone.
innumerable people, but for good reason.
Yeah,
So no, loved it and happy to hang it up on the shelf and see what's next. So
yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, cool,
Okay, we'll take a super quick break, and then we'll come back. I want to talk about Super Mario Wonder, and we'll do some spoiler-free discussion on Spider-Man 2.
cool.
All right,
Beauty. Okay, see you in a sec.
see ya. Hey everybody, welcome back. So yeah, let's we sort of took our this detour to talk about God of War a little more up front, which is totally fine because I didn't realize you got the platinum, so it's better to just jump into that discussion while we had it. So the two things that I was gonna bring up to talk about this episode, the two games that came out on the same fucking day that I've recently finished both of. I haven't 100%ed Mario Wonder, which I'll probably chip away at a little bit. Uh, but some of those are going to be really brutal, but I'll still work towards it. But so Super Mario Wonder and Spider-Man 2 both came out on the same day. Um, and I definitely, at first, I was like bouncing back in pretty regular intervals. But then, like, as Spider-Man 2's like story started getting better, I was
Mm,
like 80% Spider-Man, like 20% Mario Wonder,
yeah,
until I finished Spider-Man first, and then I was playing Mario a bunch. Um, so finished both of those. 100% Spider-Man. Didn't quite 100% Mario Wonder yet, but some stuff I just want to talk about that game, um, and why it was just so much fun.
mm,
So for one thing, it's like a lot of the 2D Mario's since I think it was on the DS, New Super Mario Brothers, is what it was called. They've
yep,
all had this very similar visual like identity. Like they
mm,
very much looked like the same, but just they looked a little better because it was like the DS to the Wii to the Wii U, and then they remade that one or re-released it on the Switch or whatever. So, but like the character models all looked pretty much the same. Most of the power ups were largely the same.
yeah,
Definitely was sort of the same kind of visual style for a lot of that run since the DS, the DS returned to the 2D games. So the thing I love about this one is it's like it's like almost like the feeling of like starting from scratch. Like we're not going to use those old models and redo them. It's like let's just make new models for this
Oh
game.
wow.
Um, they all have like a very just newer look to them. Um, it's interesting because like they're definitely 3D models, right, of the characters, but the new Super Mario line, like the ones before, like those looked like 3D characters, but you're just looking at them on the side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mario Wonder, it's like it almost looked like in some cases they like took out frames of animation to make them look more like 2D sprites.
Oh, okay.
Like it didn't look. It looks. I don't want to say it doesn't look clean because it looks very clean, but it's almost like they animated them that if you were to look at them like head on in a 3D space, they would look weird as shit
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because of the
Almost
way they've.
they've looked approached the game as a 2D game.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, which I'm sure
yeah,
they did for the other ones because they were 2D, but they were still like flexing. Like the cool thing about those that oh these games are 3D models now in 2D games, and
yeah,
like
yeah.
that was the new interesting thing about them.
Hmm.
But now it's like there are definitely some like little freeze frames I got, when get a power up or end the level or whatever. Um, where it's like it really looks like the old school sprites in terms of the way they're like positioned or the way they're animated.
Yeah.
And I just love the new like visual style that they've adapted, and I hope that they make more than one 2D game kind of using that style because it really does remind me of like it like literally there's like a shot of like Mario jumping in the game and it like looks like the cover art of Super Mario Brothers 2. Like it looks exactly that animation.
Oh,
Whereas
I
and
love
I
it.
even saw like this video that was comparing Mario Wonder to like, new Super Mario Brothers U or whatever it was called. And
Yeah.
it's like literally when Mario jumps, I don't know if it's every time or if he alternates, but one of his jump frames, it's like the camera is this way and he's like blocking. I can't even see his face when he jumps or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like this one is like very clearly like making sure that like we get the best view at all times kind of thing. And yeah, something about it just really looks fantastic as like as a change. The other thing that was really interesting when I was reading about this game is like so the sort of like development cycle or development reports of how this game was made was like in this like age of crunch with all
Mm,
these developers like just trying to get games out. They come out early, buggy, unfinished, whatever.
yeah.
I guess any of the reports I read about this game, for more or less was like, yeah, just let us know when you're done. Like Nintendo
Yeah,
was like, work on it, tell us when you think it's ready, then we'll figure out a release date. Instead
yeah.
of like, it needs to be done by November 2023 or whatever.
Crunch
Um,
and get it out. Yeah.
yeah, they're just like and I read a lot of things about how any weird thing they wanted to do, they're just like, yeah, do it. Like go
Yeah,
for it. I
yeah.
don't care. Put it in the game, and there was just like no restrictions on time limit. And like yeah, we'll release it when it's done, basically.
Yeah.
And so the gimmick of this one is like I think every normal level there's like some little mini puzzle levels or like combat levels, or just like mini bosses or something. But every like normal level has like these three purple coins or whatever, and that's been a thing for a while since like Mario World, where there's like three special coins in the level or whatever. And then there's like what's called a Wonder Flower, and that's where it's like okay we're on drugs in this game basically.
Yeah,
Like that's what
yeah,
this
yeah.
is for lack of a better term is like something weird is gonna happen when you touch that wonder flower.
Oh,
um
cool.
and there's a couple repeats, like there's a couple transformations, like the words like one or two levels where you turn into a Goomba and you
Yeah.
realize how weak and useless they are because they can't jump more than like an inch off the ground and they're really slow, and if
Yeah.
anything touches you you're just instantly dead. So you have to like navigate the level for a minute, like as a Goomba. So there's like a couple repeat things where it does a similar transformation to the level or to yourself, but a lot of them are unique to just that level, where it's like
Oh,
this only happens here and it does not do this effect on any other level in the game.
I effectively didn't know anything about this game, and literally just hearing that anecdote and knowing how good Nintendo is
Oh yeah,
at doing this new mechanic, doing a new mechanic in a game,
yeah,
being pioneers in that
in a
space is
fun
like,
way, as like the
and
funnest way possible.
exactly, it like just you because I know that hearing you say that, it's like I have to play this game.
Yeah, like there's one where you're walking, you get the flower and you're running through, and there's like all these pipes in this level, and these piranha plants just start coming out, and they're singing something in English to you. Um,
Yeah.
as more of them come out, they start like harmonizing and stuff, and it's like a big one comes out and it's got a lower voice. It's like, what is happening? It's just you're just trying to like get past them, and there's
Yeah.
like one of the ghost levels, uh there's like a giant boob comes up behind you, and it becomes like an auto scroller, so you just have to keep moving
Mm.
forward. And if you look away from him so that he, like, the boos will get
Mhm.
shy or whatever when you look at him, if you turn away from the big one, he'll start breaking out. He's like some opera singer, and it's like you turn around and he just stops singing, and it's like so like some of them are just like dumb silly things, but some of them are actually like make the level harder or turn you into something that's, you got to navigate through a puzzle or something. um but anyway, yeah, the wonder flower is just like, and it's like anytime there's one in the level, it's like necessary to get, usually to get all of the things in that level, like the three
Yeah,
coins and
you
whatever.
need it to 100% the level or whatever.
Yeah, and like one of the early on ones is like you're you you're in like this snowy level, and you like kind of go up. There's this sort of like circular, platform that you kind of get up and run, grab the flower, and in that giant snowball, essentially you're on, starts rolling like, through the level, and it literally is like the castle and the little flag that is the end point. It just like just like knocks that out of the way, and you're, it's just like, really just
Just
silly
fun.
stuff, like, yeah, just fun
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so yeah, there's like one of those flowers in like every single level almost, with a lot of unique things that happen, like with a few repeats. Oh, badges. So you can play as like any Mario, most of like Mario characters you could think of.
Hmm.
Uh, like you can, so there's like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy is playable for like for once, and I played
Hmm.
most of the game with her because like you never can play as Daisy in anything. So like, like that's fun.
Yeah.
There's like two different Toads, like three different Yoshis, and this like weird character is called like Nabbit. He's like one of the newer additions. And like the
Okay.
Yoshis and the Nabbit characters are kind of like the easy mode ones,
Okay.
where it's like you won't die from getting hit, but if you fall down a pit, like a pit, you'll still die, but you won't.
Yeah.
But I think the trade off is like they can't get power ups or something. But anyway, they're just sort of the easier mode. Um, and then all like the main cast and the Toads, unlike Mario Brothers 2, where they all had different properties.
Yeah.
Um, so every character of those normal characters control exactly the same. They all have the same run speed, jump height, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, the difference is in this game is you get these badges as you go through the game, that unlock different attributes, and those you can equip one badge when you go into a level. If you die, you can switch badges if like one makes more sense for the level that you're in or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's literally things like excuse me, run faster. If you jump subsequent jumps, like if you jump and as soon as you land you jump again and keep doing that, that
Yeah.
jump will always be like a higher jump,
Yeah.
than your normal jump. If you crouch for a second, you can do a really large, like really tall jump. There's like a floaty kind of jump, like that Peach would, not quite as
Yeah.
floaty as Peaches, but just higher and kind of floats at the apex for an extra second.
Yeah.
Um, It's like it's really funny that this game and Spider-Man were out at the same time because it's like a grappling vine badge where you shoot a piranha plant out and like if it hits a wall, you like pull yourself to the wall. So I was like, all right, that's cute.
Yeah,
Um, there's some more. There's some like easy badges where like if you fall down a pit, it'll like bounce you up once per level or things like that. I didn't really use those as
sure.
much, but um, there's like the double jump one, the crouch jump one. Oh, there's like a double jump sort of one where you jump in the air and you press R, I think it is, and you do like a little spinny second jump.
Mm, yeah,
And just little game like tweaks like that, right? And you can change those like I said, even when you just die loading at the checkpoint, you if it's like, oh, this thing will help me
mm.
get that secret easier, so I'll just switch to that badge.
Switch badge. Yeah,
Yeah, you just can't change like in the middle of it like of a level when you're loaded into the level. It's like
yeah,
between
exactly.
between
You
lives.
got to be back to the beginning or a checkpoint at least.
Yeah,
So
like when you
yeah,
die,
yeah,
you can come back with a
yeah.
different badge. Um, okay, so this is one thing that excuse me. Um, so this is the thing that like a number of Nintendo games I feel like have done a version of this, and I almost always don't turn it on. Like I almost always leave it off because I just don't want to be bothered. But so I don't know if they call them ghosts specifically in this game, but that's what I called them. So when you turn your game to like online mode,
Mm,
you can when you're out on like the little world map or whatever, or like the stage map, you can see a bunch of people running around like going to different levels and stuff with their names above. But when you load into a level, so this game, if you were playing locally, this game you can do like 4-player co-op essentially, like
oh, okay.
all
I
four of
got
you
you.
on the screen at once, which they've been doing in the 2D ones for a while now.
Yep, yep,
Um, and if you go in with the ghosts or whatever turned on, it's like when you load in, it will load up to three ghosts of players.
yeah,
So that you're not like you don't have like 50 of them running through. You just have
yeah.
three other than yourself. And it seemed to sort of load us all in like at the same time ish. Like
Mm,
usually when it would load someone in, they were near the beginning, like when I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
started. So when they're on the stage, like they're semi-transparent, so they're not like physically there. They don't
yep,
you
yep,
can't interact with them directly. Um, but you can do this thing where you like drop a little cardboard cutout of yourself,
mm,
and there's like one like you can only have one up at a time, and it's like if you die, you kind of and the 2D ones have done this before where you like kind of go into a bubble, and normally if you're playing co-op, your friend would have to like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like bust you out. Um, these little cardboard cutouts, if you run to one that's not yours,
yeah.
while you're in the bubble, it'll pop you out of your bubble, and you'll be like
Uh,
in small form or whatever, but you can essentially get back in the level without having to like go back to the checkpoint. If the
yeah,
person is physically like the ghost is there, they can also actually pop you out of the bubble.
mm,
I've seen where if you get a power up and then you get a second power up, it like stores the other one and you can pop that one if you want to use it. You could
yeah,
like if you saw that person just got hit, you can like pop your power up and they can grab it and
yeah,
you
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
help them out. And like this is the kind of thing I don't usually turn on because I'm like
Yeah.
just let me just play the game. But
I,
like
I'm playing. I'm playing solo campaign here.
right
Yeah,
there like maybe about after the first world when it was the second world, I was like let me just see what it does.
yeah,
I laughed out loud so many times because this mode was on that I
yeah.
will never turn it off now.
Oh, really?
I loved playing with this on. So, I mean, it's just fun, like, because you don't bump into each other, right? So you're not
Of
actually
course. Yeah,
conflicting or screwing anyone up. But there are definitely times where, like, I could see the ghost ahead of me, and he like goes and makes this really hard jump, and then I go and I fall and get
mm,
hit, and I'm like, damn it! And then he just turns it up, and you can't like chat or whatever. Obviously, you
Yeah,
use
yeah.
like one of four emotes you can spam like a button,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
but like they would like sometimes I would like try to make the jump and I couldn't, and they would just stand at the top and just like start crouching and just like waiting, like come on, you can do it. And it was just like just the way it animates just looks really funny, and then like
Yeah.
then I would get up there, and then I would get up and he would like spam the little happy face and just like beep, 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 like makes this little beeping sound every time he presses it, and then I would jump. I'm like, yeah, I did it. Just like, and then we kept, we would just go through the level, like continue going through, or
Yeah.
it was a lot of stuff like that where like one person did a thing and the other person didn't, and we're like, oh, and it'll tell you at the bottom if someone died or when someone finishes the level,
Yeah.
because when you're in that level with, at least unless you exit all the way out and go back to the map, it's like you're in that level with those three ghosts the whole time, so even if
Yeah.
they finish ahead of you, more won't come in.
Yeah.
And it was genuinely helpful for like sometimes there was like a secret I couldn't figure out. Like I know I missed one because I picked up the third coin and the
Yeah.
first coin. So the second one is here somewhere between these 2 points and I can't find it. And
Yeah.
sometimes someone would see me like looking and they would stand over this pipe and just just like do that little dance, like over, right? Like I'd stand, oh, it goes you stand on it in the pipe, you don't go like down in the pipe, you stand on it
Yeah.
and the pipe lowers, and then I
It-
go to a secret room or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
just see like the beep, 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 like the little happy face or whatever. Um, and then
That's cool.
when you get to the end, like it'll say, oh, so and so finished the course. And if you all finish it within a couple seconds, then you'll all do your little animation at the end, and they kind of
Yeah.
come out of their ghost form just for that little screen.
Yeah.
And then you go back, and it's not like you party up with those people. It's like I'll never see those people again.
Randos. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like go to the next
Yeah.
level, and there's three other people I run into. And like it's hard to explain how funny it looks, but it's just like I genuinely laughed out loud so many times having this mode turned on. Just like someone, like I would go grab a power up and almost get caught by like a very cheeky trap, and I would I would jump over the thing that popped out or whatever, and I would turn and I'd see someone do the exact same thing and hit the thing and shrink, and they would just do the little smiley face or whatever, like he got me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
here you go, like I'll like give you a thing,
Yeah.
and then when you die, yeah, I think I said you go into a bubble before, but it's not a bubble. Is there a bubble in this game? I don't remember if there is, but if you die, you actually turn into a ghost. You don't go into a bubble,
Mm.
and you can hit A to like fly faster. So that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
when you're a ghost, if you go to one of the stand-in or the cutout things or a person, they'll pop you out. And it's like the sound that it's like it kind of sounds like gibberish, but it's just like, and it kind of sounds all like your voice is like a little more like ethereal because you're a ghost. But it's
Yeah.
just you just hear someone die, you just wait, and they're just like just like flying, like just like they're swimming in the air as a ghost, like help me, help me, help me. And it's so funny. Just like the sound, the little weird like groan they make, or not groan, but like little gibberish they shout when they're a ghost form or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So once I had turned that on, like by the second world or whatever, I was like, I'm never turning this off. Like it's too funny, and it's not like too intrusive.
Yeah.
Absolutely, if you
Yeah.
want to find every secret on your own 100%, definitely turn it off then, because like people are seem to be genuinely helpful in helping other people find the secrets.
Yeah.
Which to me, like if I
That's
couldn't
fine.
find it after like one or two run throughs, I'm just gonna look it up. I'm not gonna scour.
Might
I don't have that patience anymore.
might as well have a friendly comrade show it to you than rather
Yeah.
than looking it up. So yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've done enough of that in our early lives that
Mm.
like I remember like scouring like Donkey Kong Country levels,
Yeah.
trying to find at least the first one because we didn't have like a player's guide or whatever. And I
Yeah.
found every bonus in that entire game by myself without because I couldn't look things up because
I
that didn't
put in my
exist.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. It's like rewind. It's like I've done this before the hard way. I just want to have fun now. So
Yeah.
if I have a little ghost teabagging over a secret, that'll help me find the thing I'm looking for. That's fine with me. I don't care. Um, so anyway, yeah, it's
That
a
sounds
mode I
awesome.
never use, but once I turned it on, I was like, this is the only way to play this game. So if anyone is playing it and hasn't tried that feature yet, just
Turn
do
it
it
on.
for a laugh because I genuinely it tickled me so much. It got me. I laughed so many times at just
The
like the limited amount of things you can do, but it just looks so funny when they're just squatting at the top or just like literally you're like on the flagpole like going down and you just hear like and because they're
yeah,
spamming that little happy like emoji face. It's like
uh, it's just a cool community thing, right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, I I remember like the first time I encountered something like this. It's nowhere. It's not on the funny scale, or whatever. But I remember in uh near Automata,
Yeah.
like all the people who had died somewhere, and
Yes.
like, what the hell is this? And then like you get a little bit of a health buff or
Something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could leave some sort of message, like when you die, whatever. And that was almost like, you know, breaking the fourth wall kind
Yep.
of thing.
And the whole thing in like the credits
Oh
when
yeah, of
and you
course,
get
yeah,
other
yeah.
people's ships and their little messages that come up when you die and then you make
Hmm.
your message and
Yeah,
sacrifice your save data. Yeah, yeah. It's a
yeah.
similar like sort of like indirect communication with other players or
E-
whatever that just adds to the
exactly.
experience. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just another quick comment is like, I had not played much online stuff. Like my only online gaming mechanism was like Tekken.
Sure.
I play, and that's by definition antagonistic.
Yes.
It is
It's
the
not it's
opposite of
not jolly.
and it's not cooperative. It's the opposite of
Right.
cooperative.
Right.
And so I never played like any first person shooters where you're on a team, whatever. It was always like I am playing
You're playing
Tekken and I'm
against
playing
other
against
people.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so my first real kind of like playing with randos in on an online game was like 2 years ago, whatever, with like Ghost of Tsushima and the
Mm.
online campaigns you can do there.
Yeah, yeah.
And like sometimes they've got microphones and stuff like that, but sometimes not. And there's like a mechanic in that game to like you camera and put your crosshair on something and like hit a button, like L3 or something. And what it does is the character is like, look at this. And especially if like you're the only character who can ring that bell or
Right.
do or it's a anyway. So I was just like, oh yeah, like this is fun. Everyone out in the world is not just like out to get me. Like we're having a good time here. So anyway, I I've always that might be something to revisit. I really like the online component of Ghosts. That
Yeah.
was really really fun.
That
Yeah.
update was free, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, because I have the game. I just never beat it. But
Oh man.
so I
Yeah.
should have that mode because if that was a free upgrade, I do really. I keep eyeing the director's cut upgrade when it goes on sale because that
Yeah.
does give you actually proper Japanese lip syncing,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I feel like I was disappointed I couldn't play that way. The out of sync lips made me turn it to English because it was just like too distracting. And
Yeah.
when I'm playing English, I'm like, this is
I should
definitely
be
would
playing
feel
it.
better as a Japanese game. So
Yeah.
I still will pick that up at some point, and I'll probably just restart that game because I don't know what the hell I was doing.
Oh,
Uh,
that's such a good game.
oh yeah, it was one
Yeah.
of those things where I didn't wait for that sweet like time slot to fit it in because I think Last of Us 2 came out around the time that I was playing that, and then something
Yeah.
else was out, and it just fell off for me. So
Yeah,
I'll get back to it at some point because I own it digitally, so I can just re-download it at any point. But yeah,
yeah.
um,
Uh,
but yeah, just having
a-
those like jolly co-op sort of experiences online.
and the same kind of thing, like when people wouldn't have uh a mic on their headset, whatever, they just like go over here and just like crouch,
Yeah,
and
it's a
it's like,
universal language.
what the hell? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. And like me being so new, like it's like essentially I'm like 20 years behind on doing co-op games,
Yeah.
and it's like, the hell's this guy's problem? Oh, oh, I'm supposed to open this chest, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
There's like some 8-year-old like this fucking guy.
And so I'm doing like, I feel like in yeah, you the touchpad, whatever, if you like swipe up, you'll like bow,
Yeah,
or
sure.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'll bow to this. Like, oh, thank you. And he's just like, no, that's, ignore the touchpad. You're just supposed to like teabag teabag the chest. That's the universal sign.
This is the best thing. Matt being introduced to online gaming etiquette like 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like hitting like a 20 button command to like point to this. And this 8-year-old kid is just like putting his balls on the on the chest. Oh, yeah, that is much simpler. That's an easy.
Oh, that's too
Uh,
funny.
yeah.
Um,
Anyway, sorry. We
no,
were
that's
talking about
fine. That
Mario Wonder into Spider-Man 2.
that reminded me of something, but I forget now. Something about like playing those games online. Ah, now it might come back to me, but it was a similar thing of just like, oh yeah, it's like there's this like funny meme where it's like because I play a lot of MMOs, and it's like how to say hello in an MMO, and it's just guy jumps. It's like how to say,
Yeah.
oh, the enemies are over here, jump. How to
Yeah.
say, oh, nice outfit, jump. And it's like jump for everything, and it's like a lot of that was like probably where I got so many laughs out of playing this because it's like I made the jump, bing 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 bing, and it's like oh I did too, bing 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 bing, like it's like you're trying to communicate with jump only. It's like I know exactly what you mean. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
stupid.
We are both celebrating the same thing with limited language here. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, that's really funny. Um, but yeah, that's all I got for Mario Wonder. Just yeah, what a pleasant surprise. And we only found out about that game in like June or something. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
just announced it existing. I think it was in the summer at some point.
Pretty
Um,
tight-lipped until it was
yeah, which I
pretty much
love that
done.
more people are doing that now, where it's like we only find out about a game less than a year before it's actually out.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, and like I guess I didn't say this because you haven't probably seen anything with the game. The like new power up for this one, there's like a bubble flower, which will just like if the bubble is like goes slower, but if it hits an enemy, it'll get rid of them. But you can also jump off the bubbles that you shoot. You can get like an extra bounce off them or whatever.
Oh, cool.
And there's one that just you just turn into an elephant, a bipedal elephant. And he he's like I don't even know what his like he can break things with his like trunk. So if there's like blocks that are like vertical that you can't get on top of to like ground pound or get under to break, if you're coming at them just sideways, he can break those.
Oh, okay.
You can get water in your trunk and spray it on flowers that will give you things. And yeah,
Perfect.
whatever. An elephant, sure. And every time you grab one, every character says wowie zowie. I don't know if that means anything to anyone specifically, but it's just wowie zowie. It's so great. It was just awesome.
I love Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
anyway, yeah, that sums up what I feel about that game. It is excellent. Definitely when you're home over Christmas, you can definitely play some of that.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's so good. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about. We won't go super long. because I'm going to keep it pretty spoiler free, but just some general sort of impressions about Spider-Man 2. Now that I've finished it, first of all, platinum super easy to get, so this won't be one where you're contemplating it 90% of the way through.
Yeah,
Uh, when I was done the story, there were like it's like the typical like finish all the side quests and
yeah,
some really silly one. Like there's one I know there was one that like go visit Ben Parker's like grave, and I
yeah,
think this was like go visit Aunt May's grave.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and there's one was like go to this baseball field and just run a home run,
yeah,
like
yeah,
run
yeah.
the four diamonds or whatever. Like just there's some silly stuff like that in there that you just have
Ah,
to read the trophy to like know what
I like silly trophies. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one cool one. So you do have a wingsuit in this game.
Mm.
Um and there was one cool where it's like go from this part of the city to this part of the city without swinging on any webs and like just in one wingsuit like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
activation or whatever cuz there's like updrafts and things that you can sort of like get more height with it and stuff.
yeah.
So like, stuff like that is really fun to try and figure out the best way to do it. So general, just like impressions and stuff. First of all, like the load times in this game are so insane. Like they are showing off so hard on this game. I tested it. I went once I had the whole map because you have the north. I don't know like the parts of New York, so anyone from the U.S. watching this is gonna be infuriated. But there's like the main like part of New York that the first game takes place in, and I think it's
It's all of
Brooklyn.
Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan,
Yeah,
and then I guess
yeah,
Brooklyn was across the bridge, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
like Queens and stuff. So
yeah.
like that is also accessible in this game.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
you get a like bigger map. And I tested. I went like bottom left of like this map, top right of this. So you open your map. There's no like fast travel like area. Like I think it was subways or something in the first game.
Yeah.
There's no like checkpoints that you have to fast travel to. You just
Mm.
point at the map. I want to go here now.
Oh,
And you
wow.
just click there and it's like it literally you're on the map screen. It just zooms in and you're there. Like you're just there now, like in the middle of a web swing or whatever. It's like what there was not even like a load screen between that. It is insane how fast
Oh,
this game
that's
fucking goes.
amazing. Yeah.
And like same goes for like retrying if you died in a
Uh,
battle encounter or whatever. It's just like a second like to reload. It's crazy. But yeah,
Unreal.
that like fast travel wherever you want to, and it just zooms into the map and like transforms into like the real visuals instead of like those digital map visuals, and you're
Yeah,
just there
yeah.
now. Um,
Uh, Load times on PS5 are amazing.
it's
Um,
wild, yeah.
I remember you and I both were laughing at FF16 and like, oh,
Yeah, oh, climb on
uh,
this wall. And it's like, oh, here we go. 30
there
seconds.
we
And
go.
he's like, boop, boop, boop. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. That's it.
yeah. Oh, classic shimmy across the ledge.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he's running across. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I feel like that was intentional for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, yeah,
Um, no, so the same goes once the game, and this has been like wide. I think this was even in one of the trailers. You can like, when you're not on an active like main mission or anything, you can just switch between Miles or Peter
right.
whenever you want. You just open up the
Yeah,
little app that you have for managing your quests, and you just hit a button and it like switch. And it's funny because it's like hold the button to switch to whoever
yeah,
instead of press it. And I bet you that's the load time.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is
yeah,
like same
yeah,
as like those cinematic things in like we were talking about in the FF16 icon fights. It's like
yeah,
that's why they do that is they need a second to just load everything else. And
yeah,
so it's
yeah, yeah,
probably the same thing when you're holding that button. It's like loading because like he's not just like if you're Peter and you switch to Miles, he's not just like behind you in the same part of the
yeah,
city. Like he's like a
yeah.
couple blocks away or whatever, and you're just immediately playing. It like does usually does like a little. He's in the middle. Like I did it once where he's like on a building upside down, like writing in his like school book or something, and he's like, oh, okay, and puts it away. And so there's like a little like 5 second just sort of character intro, but it's like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
level is loaded, so it's there's like no load. It's like I think it turns black. The screen turns black for like less than a second before
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
starts going into the other person.
Amazing.
Um, there's without any context, there's a you know how they do these like chase sequences or whatever. There is
Yeah.
a point in the game where there are these like little portals that you go through, and it literally is like you are going through that portal and you're just in a different part of the city and then a different part, and it's like instant.
Oh, wow.
They did their last Ratchet and Clank game, which was PS5 exclusive. They did some portal tech in that game because it
Mm,
was all about these rifts and stuff. And it's
mm.
like, okay, like this is that tech. Whatever they did to make those work, they just amplified it to like an
Awesome.
insane degree. And it's just for like a cool set piece moment. Like that mechanic does not exist in the entire game. It's like a very small slice of a cool moment they created
Yeah.
because they already had that tech figured out.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's like, oh, let's do this somewhere.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
does. I'm not giving the context because the context will make actually a lot of sense, and so I don't want to ruin that. You know what that is.
Awesome.
Um, so man, I'm like 100% converted to Miles. He's like I love Miles in this game. I really
Nice.
liked him in his standalone game.
Yeah.
Um, but like anytime I had the option to do like side quests as one or the other, by the end
Yeah.
I was like 100% Miles.
Oh, nice.
Both just like his gameplay feels. I mean, they're both feel very good, but they each have unique specials.
Yeah.
Um, because like Miles has his like electricity powers and stuff,
Electricity stuff.
and
Yeah.
then they get extra powers that I won't say, but you just have more of a kit. But just like his characterization, his voice acting, his like actual animation and cutscenes is like absolutely 10 out of 10. I love whoever the voice actor is for Miles. Like he nails it so hard in this game. It's unbelievable how good he is.
Oh, nice.
Just some of those really emotional moments, and Miles goes through some emotional turmoil in this game, and it's like he just delivers that sort of like because he's still like he's still
Kid.
younger, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
still in like high school essentially. Um, so he just yeah, his voice work is absolutely like it's like one of my favorite parts about that game is Miles, the way he looks, sounds, and plays.
I
He was by far my favorite of the two for sure.
I really liked the Miles portrayal in like Spider-Man and especially the Miles Morales kind of game. Like versus the Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies kind of thing.
Sure,
Like I
yeah,
I like the video game portrayal
they're
better.
definitely
Yeah.
different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I this Miles is like my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, kudos to the voice work for that character because my God, it's so. I was blown away at some cutscenes is how good he is.
And
Um,
I love the Miles Morales game was short, sure, but like, oh man, those power that power skill tree
yeah,
was awesome, and
it gets
yeah, yeah.
better too. It just gets
Oh,
better in this
nice,
one.
nice.
They absolutely just build on what worked and made everything more fun. Um, super good variety on like puzzles and like mini games.
Mm,
I feel like there were one or two in the first Spider-Man that like kind of overstayed their welcome a little bit. I was like, oh god, another one of these. Okay,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I any of the ones that were like starting to be like, oh my god, like I didn't get to that point, and I feel like they ended at the perfect time before I started getting overly fatigued
Yep, yep,
on certain types, and there's like a good variety from start to finish. It's like the first leg of the game, it's like you have these three different types of puzzles or something, and then later on, okay, those ones are done. Now we're gonna do some of these other ones, and like I feel like
yep.
that pacing was really good.
Oh, good.
Definitely
Um,
didn't overstay its welcome.
just as a quick callback, I found that with Thor Ragnarok, similar like I never got annoyed by
Same.
the Nornir chests or
And
like
I
in
definitely
the
got
first one.
more annoyed in the first game.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
The pacing of the puzzles was perfect in this one. At least, sorry, perfect for my level of patience.
Yes.
Maybe others would disagree, but it was funny. I had to go back and find like one, maybe two ravens. Other than that, I
Yeah.
found them like along the way.
Yep. Uh,
But
there's a excuse me. There's a lot of similarities between like Spider-Man 2 and like God of War Ragnarok in that
mm,
they do a sequel very, very well,
yeah,
where they
yeah,
really took what worked in the first game and enhanced it and tweaked the stuff that there were maybe
was
complaints or
suboptimal. Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's actually a very valid comparison.
Yeah, awesome. Are you're allowed to spoil this for me. Are there towers that you can activate to get map production? Or is it kind of all there already?
I don't think so. Man, if there were not like an exhaustive amount of them. I feel like it was a puzzle type of thing that revealed your map.
Okay.
But I don't
Because
it wasn't specifically like go to the top of this tower and hit a button or something.
because
Yeah,
I do love a good
yeah.
tower, or a tall neck, like whatever. But I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying I actually don't remember how you actually reveal the map or if it's obscured in the beginning. I feel like it's obscured. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's definitely not like 20 different towers you got to go to the top of.
yeah, yeah. Okay, that's kind of more natural and organic or whatever. But
Yeah. You do so the way you unlock fast travel in a like quadrant of the map
mm,
is doing like X number of like quests in
in
that
it.
area, whether they're
Yeah,
small crimes or side quests or whatever. And there's like
yeah.
a little meter that fills up, and then when that's filled up for that district, you can fast travel within that district anywhere you want. And
Cool.
those are like naturally, you don't have to like grind those. Those definitely come as long as you're doing side quests or whatever.
The pacing is
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
So
you
yeah,
get those really easily.
cool.
Um,
Awesome.
so one of my critiques of the first game, I hated the Mary J sections. I did not like
Yeah,
those at all. I just
they're annoying.
they were great story wise, but gameplay and pacing wise, I did not like those. Um,
Yeah.
they definitely are not as frequent in this game. There's a couple, but even in those, they're not as annoying as just 100% stealth, don't get seen. Like,
Stealth, yes, stealth, super slow. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
definitely is a
Storytelling mechanisms. Yeah,
right. The gameplay mechanic that's in those sections is definitely more engaging. And I don't think I failed any of them once. I don't think I actually. Oh, I did once. I remember near the end I did, but it was like me being stupid. It was not like me being mad at the game for
yeah, yeah,
bad eye lines or something.
yeah.
So yeah, that was a thing I was like worried about knowing Peter was back in the story. I was like, please don't make me play as Mary Jane a bunch of times. And I honestly think it was like 4 or 5 times, maybe the whole game. And maybe it wasn't even that many.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a lot more few and far between.
Did you play the DLC for Spider-Man 1?
Mhm.
Um, Man, that was an awesome DLC.
Yeah.
All the Black Cat stuff. I love Black Cat. She was
Yeah.
so funny. And
Do you know who?
her
Do you know who voices her?
is it
So she
Jesse,
there
voice
is
of
a
Jesse?
yeah, Erica Lindbeck. Yeah.
Erica Lindbeck, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I actually didn't remember that from playing the first game. She is like a quick cameo in this game. Like you do see her at some point, which
yeah.
I feel like we all like. That's
You'd expect
obviously
it.
going to happen, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I won't say for how long or what she's doing or whatever, but when I heard her voice, because I just did 7 remake replay through, I was just
yeah.
like, oh, that's 100%. That's Erica Lindbeck. And then Mary Jane. Do you know who plays
Mm.
Mary Jane?
Oh man, I saw this somewhere. You'll say it and I'll remember.
Laura
But yeah.
Bailey, who is also
Oh, nice.
like Abby from Last of Us 2. And I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
she plays Sarah in 13 trilogy as
That's
well.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I for some reason forgot she played Mary Jane. And then I don't know if you know who Ashley Birch is as well as I do, because she's
That
in a
sounds
bunch of games that
familiar.
I've played, but I don't think she's in many that you played. She's also in Last of Us 2. I think she's there's like that short-haired girl that's with like the Abby side. I think she's pregnant at some point. She's
Oh,
like a
right, right, right.
shorter, like, and she got short hair. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's Ashley Birch who voices that character.
Gotcha.
But she's in
Oh,
Borderlands, which I played a lot of, and she's
she does
has.
Aloy.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
knew you knew
yeah,
a game she was in.
yeah,
Yeah, I just couldn't
yeah,
remember what it was. Yeah, she's
yeah,
Aloy, exactly. So
yeah,
she
yeah.
plays that. I think she was in Miles' game that like it's like Danica, I think her name was. It's like this little
Oh,
podcast that comes on.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, she plays that character, and I noticed it this time around, and I was like, because it's like it's through that sort of like radio sounding voice, so I couldn't quite it,
Yeah,
and I looked at it, I was like, okay, yeah, now I can hear it for sure. Yeah, obviously it's
yeah,
Aloy. God,
yeah.
so
No,
stupid.
I had to look it up.
I
No
knew she
worries.
was in a game you played, but I was like, Last of Us 2 is the only one I could think of because she's in Borderlands a lot, and Mike and I play a lot of Borderlands. But I
Yeah.
was like, that's not that one. Matt doesn't play those. I couldn't think of it. Anyway, yeah, so she plays Aloy. Um,
Um,
so yeah, just
but
good cameos. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh no, and like I think I've watched, I think through Brianna White, Life is Strange, and I think maybe she
Mm,
plays Chloe, maybe.
I think in the first one, yeah, she plays.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the main character is, I think, is Chloe,
Uh,
or maybe it's not the main. I don't remember, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
is
Anyways,
Chloe. But I don't think Chloe is the main character.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. But anyway, cool, very cool. But yeah, I just the DLC for the first one with Black Cat, Peter and her kind of dynamic was really
Yeah.
funny.
She's
So
so
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
she, like I said, she's got a cameo in this one and does not disappoint at all. It's very,
oh,
very cool.
awesome,
Um,
awesome.
and I was gonna just say like, so cameos, excuse me, in general. There's a few cameos from the first like two games. Um, and I feel like they're done really well. They don't kind of take over and like overly fan servicey.
Yeah,
Um, Now what's cool is when you're so some of these cameos of other people or with Peter if you're playing as Miles or vice versa, you get the like random crimes when you're just
yeah,
swinging through or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
If you go to one of those, sometimes one of these other characters that you're currently working with through a side quest or just Peter will just be there also fighting. And then so
Oh
you're just
wow.
fighting together and you do like these sort of duo like finisher moves and stuff, which some of them are really fucking cool. Just those. Oh, and I know I sent you a video of this. I sent Matt this video where we laugh about the henchmen trash talking you, and there's one where like one of them is giving me this like really long impassioned speech as I'm doing a slow motion finisher on them, and it just cut their speech off right as I punch them in the face.
I just
Excuse
like
me.
off a building 200 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so funny. It was like mid speech, and I just punched the shit out of them, and they just stopped talking. So yeah, I sent that to Matt. It was really funny.
Oh man.
Um,
That's what I'm really excited for is I just love the I'm on top of a skyscraper fighting a bunch of people,
yeah,
and maybe I launch all of them off the top of this building, which
yeah.
is completely against Spider-Man's whole shtick
Now,
of just
if
like
someone pointed this out to me, and if you watch, and I think it did this in the first game too, if I remember right, because when I saw it, I was like, oh
you
yeah,
leave
that's
like you leave a thread kind of
yeah.
connected to
When they're going
them.
off, you just see a little web bomb go off and like pull them to the side of the. And I was like, that doesn't happen in my head. That's
No,
not my head canon. They're dead.
no,
I don't
yeah,
care.
my head canon it's you're doing like a drop kick, you know,
Yeah,
to launch them into the middle of the street.
just
Uh,
murdering henchmen with like reckless abandon. Yeah. Um. Oh, and so I mean, this should be obvious by this point, but like, if you follow the side quests to their conclusion, you get really, really good payoffs at the end of them. Like, and
Oh,
it's like
nice.
almost like its own narrative, like beat. Like, and it's like you kind of finish that storyline for that side character. And
Yeah.
some of them are pretty emotional, and some of them actually really got me.
Oh,
And
nice.
some of them just are like feel good moments too, right? So definitely worth doing the side quest for that alone. Um, this is really cool. So I don't know if you remember in Miles, his standalone. I I think it's like this. She's like at his school or something, where it's like one of his friends. Her name's Haley, and she's deaf. Um, and so she's in, because they're still friends in this game. Or I remember him having a deaf friend
Yeah.
in his game. So I'm pretty sure it's the same girl, and I just love that, like, every cutscene that they have, like that he has with her, it's like they fully animate him like signing everything he says.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
is
yeah.
like something you don't have to do in a video game. It was like, oh, whatever, she just reads lips. Like, we don't need to animate all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that that I feel like Insomniac just has such a good extra little touch for.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like other characters are like trying to learn how to sign, but it's like every time, even when it's just him and her talking, he like signs everything. And then like, I don't know a lot of sign language, but I know like the very minimal amount to like pick up that like they're not faking it. Like, it does
Yeah,
genuinely
yeah,
look
yeah.
like sign language. There is a really interesting part where like you kind of see a thing that happens from her perspective, and when it switches to her, it like mutes everything, and
Mutes
it's like got
everything.
that
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like, because it's not deaf
Muffled.
like silent. It's like that sort of
Yeah.
like underwater kind of sound
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
everything. And I just thought that, another nice. You didn't have to do that either, but it's like, oh yeah, this is how like this person lives every
Sees
single
the
day.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that was really cool.
It's a cool kind of storytelling mechanic, but also a really cool inclusivity kind of
Yeah, yeah,
aspect. So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Cool.
and then we touched on it a little bit at the beginning. Just the music is so good in this game,
Nice.
and like I said, it it definitely calls back some of the motifs from like Peter's theme and Miles's theme, and
Yeah.
some of the there's like one song I added because I think the whole soundtrack is on Spotify, but it's a lot of like situational music where it's like I won't listen to the whole soundtrack of this game start to finish because a lot of it is like during these crazy moments that
Yeah,
just makes
yeah,
more sense. It's like a good complementary thing.
yeah.
But there's a couple tracks on there that are good to listen to on their own, and there's one really good one that plays during some of like the emotional cutscenes. That it, like I said, I'm pretty sure it does like Peter and Miles's themes in there. Oh god,
So cool.
it's so good. Um, and like obviously Venom is in this game from
Yeah,
like, and I won't say anything about him.
like Venom has been one of my favorite villains
Same,
slash anti-heroes for
same.
my entire life. So I'm so pumped.
And my
Yeah.
like intro to Venom was like the 90s Spider-Man
Not
cartoon,
yeah,
and it
exactly,
was that
exactly.
version of Venom that I was like, this is the coolest. Like,
Yeah.
anytime I see Venom now because of that cartoon, I'm instantly a fan of like
Yep.
the fact that he'll be in this game or in whatever. Um,
Yep.
and so obviously, without saying specifics, this might be the like from that 90s cartoon Venom to this one, this might be the first time it like lived up to what
Oh,
my version of Venom in my head was.
yep.
Um
And that's a good point because we've been disappointed before. You know, um Venom hasn't quite landed in
Not in
several
movies.
in movies
Yeah.
since 1994 kind of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, this version of him is just so good. So cool, very scary. Um and like definitely shows his power level. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
get a sense of when he goes like full Venom. of like how scary powerful it is. You do this should be no secret. Anytime there's venom, there's the symbiote and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Peter's version of it.
Angry Peter for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's handled really well. I really actually think it didn't take too long for him to start. It's like he didn't just flip on a dime and I'm an asshole now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do feel like, you know, it ramped up relatively quick, but I feel like narratively it gave a really good point, like a good jumping point for when
Yeah.
he sort of flips. And then it doesn't last too long to where it gets annoying, and because like, you know when he loses that, like that's when Venom shows up, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do kind of want that to happen. You know, you want him to lose the suit just so you can see the Venom part.
Yeah,
And I did. Go ahead.
there's a very clear transition there, both of
Yeah.
Peter and okay, Peter's resolved this issue, and it now immediately means that there is something
A
else on the
much
other
bigger
side.
issue to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
and
man,
there's some cool
awesome.
surprises that come with what Venom does and like what makes him the villain in this game, which I won't spoil. But yeah, it's definitely like a Marvel thing, and it's a video game thing, but especially a Marvel thing, where it's like you get to a point, you know, 3/4 through the game, you're like, this escalated very fast.
Yeah.
It's like this is like world-ending stuff now that's going on. Like,
Yeah.
obviously not to that degree, but it's just like, you just hit a point where you're like, how did we get here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But not really in a bad way, because like, it's just for a video game that stuff just naturally has to happen faster than it might.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely hits that Marvel moment where you're like, oh, wait, what are we doing now? Like, what is happening? So yeah, in the best way possible. It didn't take me out of the game at all.
I maybe this will be my bridge game between
Yeah,
now and Rebirth.
it
Because
definitely, to platinum it took me like 20 hours or something. Like, it's not a super long game. I feel like I beat it around like 16 or 17 hours, and then it was like a couple hours to just clean up the trophies, because I did do all of the like side, like the at least like side quests, proper. I did those as I went through the
just
game.
naturally progressing. Yeah,
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 then it was just kind of some of the little extra challenges, or um you know the ones that aren't tied to a quest in some way, that I had to just go do and clean up the rest of
yeah.
them. um and it
But
honestly only took me a couple hours to round it out.
yeah, maybe I'll do that then. So anyway, it's a game I've been looking forward to for a long time, and
Yeah.
just considering how much I loved the first ones, yeah, maybe that'll be my bridge game then.
And
Cool.
like, some people will say it's like a little too samey, because it's like, oh, it's a New York game. It's like, well, yeah, it's Spider-Man.
But,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
what the
What?
fuck do you think it's gonna be? So like, that never bothered me. Especially with, there's like new modes of travel. Like, obviously, all your swinging, your
Yeah,
websuit. So one cool thing with your websuit, with like some of your talents that you get, is like, you have two moves that you can pop in your websuit to kind of just give you a little like kind of boost upwards, like almost like a midair jump type of thing.
yeah. Yep.
And when you're, I don't know if you remember, you could do this when you're swinging and you're like free falling. You can like hold a button. I think you like hold square and push different directions, and you'll just do like tricks. Like,
Tricks. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and as you do tricks, it like super speeds up the recharge of those jumping
Oh, okay.
midair jump. So you like web wing, like websuit jump, couple flips, whatever. You have like two separate jumps. So you do the second one, do that again. First one's off cooldown now. Jump again, and like you're just zipping through.
Oh man,
Again,
awesome.
showing off, because the first Spider-Man, they had to cap your speed such that they could load the city ahead of you.
The frame. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can go as fast as you want, and it does not matter. Like, it can load it. One cool little traversal move you get we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the podcast, but that feeling of like it's like L2 R2 where you like zip to a
Yeah.
point and jump off of it.
Oh,
That still feels just as good. Excuse me. One new move you get is when you're free falling, you like push L3 to kind of go into like a really fast like
nosedive.
nosedive, which
Yeah.
you could do before. But if you web swing while you're doing that and you hold the R2, you'll actually go up and like fully loop around and then launch yourself after like a full rotation. And it's like again showing off at how fast because you get out of that real fast. Like you launch out of that thing, especially if you do it from enough height. Um, so yeah, they're just like finding ways to like make you travel. Like I did the fast travel like to test it and like maybe for one or two side, not even side quests, but like collectible things that I knew I was missing one in this district, so I just fast traveled. I almost never fast traveled for the whole game because it was genuinely that much fun and fast to just zip through at the speed that it lets you do it now.
Oh man.
So yeah, and it was just fun. Like it's genuinely still so much fun. Just flying through that city as either Spider Miles or Peter. Yeah, God, it's one of those best like traversal feeling sort of systems in a video game is
Oh,
swinging
and
through New York.
the first one was like that, where it was just like, I'm just,
Yeah.
I don't really have a plan. I just want to swing around New York City here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when you get into a groove,
And then like
like,
doing the like zip jump off of those points and stuff, and
yeah,
uh,
it feels good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely worth your time. It would fit in like between now and like end of January for Tekken. Because like I said, it genuinely took me like maybe 22 hours total to like 100% that game. So
All right. Yeah. That might be my bridge game. So
sure.
cool.
Um. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Spider-Man. I tried. Hopefully, that was spoiler light enough. Obviously, this we won't talk about the story stuff specifically. But yeah, love that game. Loved Mario Wonder. Sucks that they kind of came out on the same day, but I made it work.
You made it work.
I was able to bounce between them, and the same thing has happened to me in 5 days when Mario RPG and Persona 5 Tactics both come out on the same day.
Hey.
But that's my last game for the year. That's it. There's no more.
Nothing else.
No more games for 2023.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
So
then it's just Tekken and Rebirth, I guess. So
Tekken. I mean, there's more next year.
yeah.
But we're not even next year.
For me.
Just this year. I got like 5 games that are going to be out by February by the time Rebirth is out that I want, and I can't. I don't have time for all of them. So, because there's another like multi-day release situation.
Situation.
Yeah. Oh God. Anyway, but for 2023, this will be it. So I guess here I'll give because we're gonna do an end of the year episode with some fun stuff planned. But this should I guess minus Mario RPG and Persona 5 Tactics because I am gonna try and finish those by the end of the year. But this is my list of games that I've completed for 2023.
Oh, okay.
I wrote Persona 5 Royal and Crisis Core Reunion because when I thought about it after, I was like, I think I finished those in December. I finished those late December. So I'm not going to count those for 2023 because I'm pretty sure I finished them. Because we talked about Crisis Core at Christmas, and I'm pretty sure I was done it already.
Oh, really? Okay.
When we were talking like Christmas morning. So I wrote it down originally, but I was like, I think I actually did that late December. So Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which was a re-release of a Wii U game on the Switch. And I actually finally finished it. Hi-Fi Rush, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. I actually never beat the original game, so I bought this version, beat it. Persona 5 Strikers, Fire Emblem Engage, Metroid Prime Remastered, Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy. I forget the rest of the title. But I did a revisit of Resident Evil 2 and 3 before Resident Evil 4, but those don't count as much. So Resident Evil 4, Octopath Traveler 2, Forspoken, Xenoblade 3 Future Redeemed, which was the DLC of Xenoblade 3, but it was like 50 hours, so I'm counting it. Tears of the Kingdom, Platinum, or 100%. I guess I should have mentioned that for Theater Rhythm, Platinum. Final Fantasy 16, 100%. Elden Ring, Remnant from the Ashes, Dead Space Remake, Baldur's Gate 3, Armored Core 6, Mario Wonder, Spider-Man 2, Mario RPG, Persona 5 Tactics, hopefully. That is my list of games. That's why I write them down, because I would not remember a number of those, because there's just such a tidal wave.
And so I have not yet played Resident Evil 4 yet either. So
ooh, that would be a good, and that would probably be on sale too.
I'll take a look at both.
If that one goes on sale by December, like sometime between now and December, I would grab that one. Because like that's not a super long game either. It'd probably be about the same amount of time to like finish it. I mean, I didn't platinum that game because fuck that. You have to beat the game on like crazy difficult mode or whatever.
Resident Evil platinums are ridiculous.
I don't go for those.
Yeah.
But just as I played through it, and I say that, but I definitely New Game Plus it like twice immediately because it was fun. But yeah, if that goes on sale before December, that might be worth picking up too.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I think that I was kind of like this morning in my boredom,
looking through the store,
or through games that I've purchased and things like that. And I have not purchased Resident Evil 4. I have the demo, is why it showed up there, and I was like, oh yeah, that game. I haven't even played the Resident Evil 3.
You have not played 3?
Not the remake.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That goes on sale like dirt cheap now. You can get that for like $10.
Yeah. So, anyways, I've got stuff to play. Not much time to play it, but anyways, I just need to wait till Tekken and then Rebirth and then game over.
Yeah, we're good with just those two. I think I got my Rebirth vacation booked. I think I took like 2 weeks. So yeah, I'll be ready for that game. So yeah, that's the list of completed games. We're gonna do some fun stuff with that list. So Matt is actually coming home for Christmas this year. So we'll actually be able to do an episode in person. And we'll do it for that sort of game of the year sort of fun episode. Our next time we meet will probably be, we were talking about just since, because I saw a tweet like today, I think the day of recording this, that the PS5 came out 3 years like today exactly, which is crazy.
I still think of it as like my new console.
Yeah, literally same. Yes.
Yeah.
And so we might just talk about our experience getting that, because we have some good stories about the tipping point for both of us of when we decided to start putting money aside or whatever. So we got good.
And kind of like when we got our PS5s, it was hard to get a PS5.
That's a good point. We had to go down waiting lists and stuff, because we obviously wasn't gonna go on fucking scalpers and pay $1,000 for a PS5 or whatever. Just had to wait to get one legitimately, and then to get on waiting lists and stuff. So we'll talk about that a little bit the next time. And then another tradition that we sort of shared with our gaming memories around Christmas time with our visits is we also like watched a lot of things together, and like there are a few shows that I can think of that I'll talk about after, that like I started watching because you were watching them when you were home visiting for Christmas. So I think that'd be
and vice versa. So
right. So I feel like that'd be a fun little episode as we get closer to the holiday season to talk about those. So we'll probably do that in the next couple weeks. We'll talk about this offline. I know you're going to be doing some traveling soon, so we'll figure out around that.
I'll be home in like 2 weeks, and then at Christmas time. So
so maybe we'll do it after your trip if we don't get time to do it before. Because I do want to save the in-person one for our like end of the year episode, because we'll also have been doing this for about a year. Our first episode we did was in like early January.
It's crazy to think about, actually.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think
yeah.
that'd be a fun one to do in person for the end of the year one. So, yeah, this went on a little longer than I expected, but as is the case, whenever we start talking about the games outside of the games we're planning on talking about, which
Yeah.
tends to happen a lot. So, but yeah, that's all I got for those games. I'm glad you got your platinum for God of War, and now you're filled with that empty void of what the fuck do you do with your time now?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a big build up and then a steep cliff. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
anyway, but a happy one, a happy plummet.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Cool.
perfect.
So yeah, stay tuned then. When we do talk again, I'll probably talk a little bit, at least about Mario RPG, because that game I know won't take me as long to beat because it is a much quicker game than Persona 5 probably will be. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that, but we'll also mostly talk about our other things that I mentioned. So we'll do that in the next couple weeks. And besides that, I don't know. I got nothing else, Matt. Any closing thoughts? I think we've pretty much covered it.
Yep, no, exactly. Just happy to I'm happy to be chatting with you in that transition period
Yeah.
at the immediate end of a game and looking at the
And
horizon.
because
So
I'm
yeah,
also in that same state right now. I need
yeah.
something to play because I platinumed the game I was distracting myself with.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I gotta fight something else now. But
But it's also like a weird void of just multimedia of like I finished the book I was reading. I finished Attack on Titan.
yeah,
I'm done
that's
with
true.
that. I literally had a problem of just like, do I read a new book? Like Netflix, what's on Netflix right now? Like what I was just like very lost today. So anyway, this gives me some focus. So I've
Yeah.
got I hopefully can find something to do with my life.
Yeah, perfect. All right. I guess we'll
Yeah.
call it there then. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe us here, and keep an eye out for that end of the year episode because the more me and Matt talk about it, I feel like it's gonna be a lot of fun. We got some fun stuff planned, so
Yeah.
yeah, keep an eye out for that, and we'll be back before then to talk about our other sort of Christmas traditions and our PS5, the struggle of getting our PS5s and what we did when we finally did get them. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out for those, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Getting
All
cool.
right, bye
See
everybody.
everyone.